Hey, Daggy.
Shalom.
Shalom. Hey, everybody. Uh, Hangout. Hey, somebody's here already. Your mic's not working though. Although from your profile image, I think I know who it is. Oh
Hello.
my god, I gotta mute my own audio. Just one second. Hello. Hi, how's it going?
Good. I'm a new Patreon, so it's my first time.
Awesome. Thank you so much for your support.
You're
These
welcome.
these things usually have Mark in it. Although you might have already seen one of these things from the actual vlog channel because it live streams there too. But
Actually,
can you
Mark.
pass me a? Yeah,
Lost a lot
you're
of
not
weight.
Mark.
What do you?
Can you pass me a napkin?
Yeah.
Thank you. Eating food. It's a very popular hangout hangout festivity.
Yeah, I've noticed that. And I still noticed you've had your Creed posters in the background, and you're
Yes,
advertising Pepsi as well.
yes.
You
I'm
see the
gonna
rest
drink
of
some
the
Pepsi Max, just like Ethan would, the master of the sody pops. I swear, Pepsi Max is paying YouTubers. Where's the ethical breach there? Huh? When's Ethan gonna admit to it? Hashtag Pepsi conspiracy 2016. Sorry. What's so I guess the biggest news for movies right now is that uh, The Woods, which is I didn't check, but I
Oh, is
think
that the new isn't some Blair Witch sequel?
yeah. So I didn't check, but I think it's directed by Adam Wingard. I'm gonna check right now actually because that would be
I can look
relevant
it up.
to the discussion. Well, I also kind of want to just see like what else he's directed just to refresh myself. So let's see. Adam Wingard. So
Wingard.
um, yeah, yeah, I really want to see The Woods get everything else he's directed. And oh, really? They changed the title? Now it's just called Blair. What the hell is this?
Yeah, I saw that was today.
Why is it listed as Blair Witch now? They should have. What the hell? Was that a studio thing?
probably. They probably
Oh
want
no!
It's by Landscape Films.
Yeah.
Oh no!
No one's gonna watch The Woods.
Oh,
They'll go watch Blair Witch.
I mean, I honestly don't even like the original Blair Witch, so I wouldn't be
I
excited.
really like the Blair Witch, the original
I
one.
mean, I thought it had great marketing for what it was at the time, and then the actual movie itself, when it came out, was just personally to me like a huge disappointment.
I was not disappointed by the movie. I thought that it was very like fresh and unique. And if let's say I was building it up and had some sort of expectation of like things that would have needed to happen in a horror kind of sense, if I was like expecting some kind of monster reveal or like a lot of gore or something, then I think that I might be disappointed by it. But I kind of liked what I got. I liked um, how much it leaves up to the imagination, which is something that I'm afraid this sequel is not going to do. Um, but we'll see. I kind of like it isn't necessarily a horror movie as much as it is kind of like a performance piece. It really rides on the actors' performances, and despite them all being like unknown nobody actors, I thought it was all very very well performed, and that helped it out a lot. Um, by the way, I just want to acknowledge I forget your real name, El Presidente, but thank you for the Itu Mama Tambien Blu-ray. I got it, and I will watch it.
Yeah,
I have
no
not seen it
problem.
yet. Sorry, what?
No problem.
Awesome, thank you. So the I guess I'm already disappointed by the new Blair Witch movie because they changed the title now. Like it's one thing to have a working title to be like, oh, in production we don't want the actors leaking the script or we don't want you know anything to be spoiled that it's in production. But the movie's been made for a while and critics have already reviewed it, and so I thought that part of the appeal was that it was supposed to be like a secret Blair Witch sequel that didn't necessarily have to stay secret until it was released, but at least, not necessarily call itself Blair Witch. I think that's a stupid title change, if you ask me.
I mean,
But
I think
you're
it
gonna
was
make
made
more
to
money
change
that
to sell the
way.
movie. Yeah.
But I mean, The Woods. I don't know. People eat up like popular horror movies already. If a horror movie gets half decent, good reviews, and it releases itself around Halloween, which is I haven't even checked, but I'm assuming that this one is planning on it. People already, eat that shit up.
I mean, that's what Saw used to do anyways when they were coming out back in the day.
Yeah.
Because like every single Halloween, every year they would release Saw. They released the 10th anniversary at my movie theater I used to work at for Halloween, and no one came to it.
That's
You've
funny.
nailed an important aspect of like horror movies in general. Like Lights Out just came out. Apparently it's pretty decent, but like it's getting all these like everyone's like, oh, it's great.
People-
It's probably just okay, but
That's what happens every single fucking year. There's like one or two horror movies that are not
shit.
as awful as the rest of them, but they're still bad movies. And then people lose their shit. People lose their shit, and they overinflate and overrate horror movies because everybody's just really itching to have a half-decent horror movie.
I think
Horror
that's
movies are the worst for that. They're like the last good horror movie that came out was like Under the Skin, but that wasn't even a horror movie, Like
Yeah.
the further away you go from like being a standard horror movie, usually the better your odds are at being a good movie.
It's
This
all
horror
that.
movie
It's
is
like
kinda
it's genres in movies or in cinema that are just sometimes have really bad rap in general. Like let's be honest. Like Marvel and Disney are making pretty good like progress on their cinematic franchise. They have a good plan, but people
Marvel is Disney.
they were Marvel and Disney.
Just
They were
Disney.
Yeah, whatever. But the fact is, they're putting a lot of efforts into them, and we like it. We like them out there, efforts put into them. But we forgot that like a couple years ago, we had like a ton of bad superhero movies, especially in the '90s, and just like what this era is coming is just giving us like okay to good movies, and everyone is praising them like it's the end of the world.
It's Disney. Disney is possibly the smartest
Oh, absolutely.
production Hollywood studio ever of all time. Like they have making money down to an actual science.
Oh yeah.
Like
It's-
I was at a mall 3 days ago, I think. Yeah. And I was buying a birthday gift for a friend because otherwise I wouldn't be at a mall.
You want to tell them what you got?
Oh yeah, I got him the Duck Dynasty for the PS4.
Fantastic.
I looked around the mall hard enough until I could find something that was really truly special. But anyway, I went to the Disney store, and it's just like there was this employee woman, and there was like this kids corner kind of area, like, oh yeah, drop your kids there or whatever, and this woman will like read them stories or something. And she was basically like giving them trivia on Disney franchises. And from the time I walked into the store to the time I left, it was like the questions were about like toddler Olaf, Frozen, and like some Lion King questions or whatever. And by the time I left, it was like, so and why did Kylo Ren do this? And I was like, oh. It's because they want to fill in the gaps of like potential market loss for
Wow.
for age demographic, and so them buying these different franchises and then like bridging the gaps between children's entertainment and adult entertainment, they're really just saying we don't want a single second of someone's life not to be heavily influenced towards buying Disney products. And they're very smart. They're very fucking smart, and they know exactly what they're doing. And it's basically indoctrination and brainwashing. But I mean, it's very smart, and it's not like any other Hollywood studio isn't just only doing things to make money. Disney's just very, very fucking good at it. Disney's very, very intelligent about it. But back to the woods, because I went on a tangent after horror movies. I actually knew that it was a Blair Witch, that it was a Blair Witch sequel, and I was told to keep it a secret by someone who I will not name, because people trust me with secrets. But now I guess I can say it because everybody knows. I was kind of looking forward to it maybe not being revealed until, the movie was out. Like, the first Cloverfield movie did that well.
Yeah.
They didn't reveal the monster until the movie was out. That was some really good, secretive, great viral marketing. But now it's just like this whole Blair Witch thing, and Adam Wingard, I'm sure he's a super nice guy, but there hasn't been a single one of anything that he's directed that I've been like, yeah, that was great. Or like, yeah, I want to see your next movie, sort of thing.
I just think the poster for The Guest looks really bad, and that's deteriorating me from seeing it.
I tried watching the first, 25 minutes of it, and I was seriously confused as to whether or not it was being a parody of what it actually was. It was so fucking awful. It was so garbage. And then when I gave it a 2 on IMDb the next day, there was a Reddit thread of people going like, how could you have rated The Guest a 2? It is easily one of my favorite movies of the year. I'm like, where are we? What planet do we live on? I don't know. There's always a Reddit thread the next day I rate a movie. It's kind of funny. having public ratings for things that I don't even make reviews on, I don't know. If I publish it into a video, then I guess take it more seriously. But it's kind of funny how I can rate a movie and all of a sudden it's created this controversial discussion.
That's kind of like me with ratings in my what I do, because at my university I run a film podcast, so I'll be honest with the rating. I'll say Empire Strikes Back for me is a 7 out of 10. Then people freak out saying, how could you not say it's perfect? It's one of the best movies of all time. And then it's well, that's my opinion, and I know it's flaws, and I know there's great things in it, so fight me almost. Yeah,
I know. There's certain movies that it's people consider them to be untouchable, and yeah. What were you saying?
Well, no, I was just saying in terms of horror movies, I think there is more leeway given to them. I think horror movies are more accessible to general audiences when you're talking about kind of newer original ideas, as opposed to your average Hollywood action blockbuster. And so I think at the very least it shows that there's a hunger there for audiences for newer stuff, which is kind of interesting because every year, as you pointed out, there's new horror movies that are kind of original concepts in and of themselves, even if they don't kind of take off.
No, I would people overinflate horror movies that are not even new concepts. People lose their shit over the one or two horror movies a year that are just not as garbage as the other ones, but have not done anything. I'm sorry, but The Babadook was shit. The Babadook was awful. The Babadook was not it didn't do anything new at all. It didn't do anything particularly impressive for its budget. It used stock sound effects for the creature. I'm not even kidding. There's stock sound effects. I was just you're discriminating against people that have heard those sounds before, and if you haven't heard those sounds, then I guess you got a better experience.
But you gave it a
Hey, Adam.
It's like if the main villain did nothing but Wilhelm scream. Seriously, I'm supposed to be frightened by this. The metaphor and symbolism was so goddamn surface level. Anyway, sorry, what were you saying?
Before I go, okay, sorry, I'll be real quick. I have to go, and I have a scoop for you since you talked about the woods. I can't say who. I can't say who. Do you guys like video games? Do you guys care? I don't care at all, but you guys know about Assassin's Creed, right?
I know about it.
So they're not making a game this year. They're making a second one next year because guess what? I live in Montreal. I have contacts. And the next one, guys, I can say kind of right now. I might be wrong, but inside information kind of says it's gonna take place in Egypt.
Oh,
that would be cool. I would love that.
That's a spicy tidbit.
Spicy tidbit for those
who really don't like Assassin's Creed at all.
No, I don't care about it.
I like the second one. And the first
I like
one.
the first one.
I liked the first one when I turned it off and wasn't
Oh
playing
damn!
it. I liked when I wasn't playing it. That was my favorite part about having that game. During the entire rental period that I had it from the video game store, my favorite parts were not playing it.
Oh yeah, now we got like we got the movie coming up this year, right?
Yeah, which doesn't look promising, but
Nope.
Michael Fassbender's got a nice penis, I guess, so I guess maybe.
And Marion Cotillard is cute, so I guess.
Why did you see Michael Fassbender's penis?
Have you not seen the movie
Shame.
Shame?
Shame.
No, I haven't.
It's a really great movie by,
Yeah.
I think, my second favorite director of
Oh,
all
shit.
time.
Steve McQueen.
Who's it by?
Yeah,
Steve
Steve
McQueen.
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 The black one.
Black one.
not
I'm hoping
Owen
for
Wilson
a
red.
time where like he supersedes the original. I'm hoping that in 10 years I can say Steve McQueen and not have to either preface or suffice it with
Yeah.
anything. You know.
It'll happen.
Well, to be fair, Steve McQueen was an okay actor.
Well, and also I think the biggest problem
Also
is
Bullet.
not necessarily like
Bullet, man.
what they were, but if you look on IMDb especially, because you can see the trends and you can see how popular someone's name is, you can see what the autofill results are in order. People pay a lot more fucking attention to actors than they do directors.
Yep.
If you like when people look at a movie poster and they see a movie, they're not watching the movie for the director. In very few cases they are. If it's like
Nolan.
Tarantino or James Cameron or
Nolan.
another.
I would say Nolan
That's me.
at this point.
Yeah, Christopher Nolan for sure. Yeah, there's a couple of them where a director can sell a movie, but the vast majority of directors,
George Lucas.
like nobody even fucking understands where the movie came from. They just think that it like magically parted itself into existence. And I mean, based on the quality of most movies in theaters, I would kind of agree.
Oh yeah, and Spielberg, obviously.
Yeah, but I think he's kind of losing it.
I think
Oh,
he's
he
the
is,
most mainstream director,
didn't
though.
G kind of bomb? Like Spielberg does every movie he's ever made. He has a big name, but I think he had a bigger name when like E.T. and Jurassic Park and shit were all super
Jaws.
popular, right? Yeah, I mean like he had a sellable name, and he was at one point, if not still, I think the record might have been broken, but at one point he was the highest paid director in Hollywood.
Possibly, yeah.
But
Who
I
would
don't,
you
think,
think
I don't
now?
think he sells a movie by his name anymore, and I don't think he has for a while, honestly.
Yeah, but who would it be now? Who's the director who's getting paid the most?
I don't know.
I
If
think
you
it's
count
still
Lucas, I
Spielberg.
guess, with the whole Star Wars deal.
Yeah, if you count Lucas for like getting what?
That's not actually directing a movie, though.
I don't know. Lucas, the highest paid director for not really directing anything, for like sitting in a chair.
Or James Cameron for his Avatar sequels.
So I don't know if you guys saw my tweet, but I was kind of freaking out because the Avatar 5 has an IMDb page listed for 2023, and I don't know. Sometimes IMDb pages show up for things in a way that it's just like, oh, it's just based off of a rumor. But I'm pretty sure up to 4 was confirmed. But for some reason, what really kind of triggered me was like the 5th one being confirmed. Because it's like, I looked at the year, I was like, 2023, seriously? And Avatar 2 isn't even scheduled until 2018. That's like 9 years after the first one.
Yeah.
And so it's like, how good of a, like, they're no longer banking on how good the first movie was. They're banking on how good the second movie theoretically is. Because you can't plan out a quintology just based on one movie if you're gonna wait a decade after the first one's released. How much nostalgia power do you think that first movie has? I don't think it has very much.
Nah,
You know,
I
like
think-
it was the most successful movie on the entire planet, like literally most money a movie has ever made. And so I can understand from a studio perspective them thinking like, oh yeah, let's put all of our resources into the sequels for this movie. But I think that's something that only really works if you're going to do it within a time frame where people don't forget about the first movie. Because right now, nobody's fucking missed their chance.
Oh shit, lag.
Yeah, big time lag.
It's a film.
Big time lag coming from Vancouver.
Lag?
Okay, I thought it was just me.
Goddamn Trudeau.
Yeah.
Oh.
To blame Trudeau.
Oh,
I just have really shitty internet, so I'm used to it.
he changed the internet to 50 upload and 50 download because it's 2016. I don't know. I'm out.
Yeah, but Avatar, I think you're right. If they wanted to bank, they would have made it in like I think 4 or 5 years. But
How many years did it take to make the first
still-
Avatar? Is my question.
Many years because
A lot.
Cameron wanted the best 3D camera to do it.
Well,
so-
yeah, I mean, like it sat on the shelf for like 800
Decade.
years, but how
Yeah.
how long did it take to make it? Is my
I
question.
don't know. Maybe I would say probably 1 or 2 years max. Like if it if it really took that
Exactly.
much time.
So it's like they really wanted. They could have had Avatar 2 out within like 5 years instead of 9
5
years.
Yeah. Like
Really,
Pacific,
I think that would have been smart.
Pacific Rim 2 is gonna come out before Avatar 2, and I'm much more pumped
Wait.
up for Pacific Rim 2.
Wait, Pacific Rim 2?
Yeah,
Yeah, apparently it's happening
How
now.
the fuck are they gonna do that?
it's happening with Boyegas as the main character, a new director, the one who did Spartacus, and yeah, released in what, January or February of 2018? February. Yeah.
No.
I still stand by my movie fights
Hold
answer.
on.
I think it would be sweet to have a Pacific Rim Godzilla crossover.
Yeah, I thought they were gonna do that because it was like the same.
That'd be fucking
studio.
cool. Everybody
It
would
would
want
be-
it.
Yeah.
I even went a step above, like saying like
I'm talking
mental
about that right
risks are
now.
open and both
It's a
like
live stream.
have a Jaeger and a Godzilla pilot an even
No.
giant Jaeger like.
Alright.
Right.
Okay.
So, based on
Yeah.
like the general cheesiness of the Pacific Rim, does anybody think that they missed out on an opportunity to have an explosive device called the Jaeger bomb? It seemed like it wouldn't be out of place in that movie based on like what the movie already is, right? I don't know. It could have had people throw up in the theater, but I would have been happy.
Jesus.
Oof. And I'm out. Goodbye.
Okay, end of the stream, everyone, and on that
Thank you,
bombshell,
Trevor.
thanks for watching, and
See you next month.
see you
Yeah.
next month.
Bye.
Good night. Thank you, Jeremy Clarkson, Adam Johnston. Yeah, don't forget to punch the producer.
Is that
I will.
Domino's pizza?
I'm not saying it's a pizza.
It's just a pizza.
It's a kind of
It's a
pizza.
generic.
Kind of.
Okay.
It's an entire layer of sriracha pizza.
Hey.
'Cause I'm insane. And I can't feel pain anymore.
Can I say something?
Yeah. You might say whatever you want.
This might be boring, but I recently
Uh-oh.
had the chance to speak to Sargon of Akkad.
Oh shit.
Cool.
Yeah, I have.
I've spoken to him also.
The funny thing is, I
But
wasn't as,
do you mean like spoken IRL or like over?
over a Google Hangout. I've spoken to him.
Oh,
It was-
does he have like a Patreon thing or?
No, not a Patreon thing. It was a political discussion about all the raids that are going on in Germany right now
Oh
because.
shit. How did you get involved in this discussion anyway?
Well, there's this YouTuber called Kraut and T. He's a German, half British YouTuber, and he had this hangout interviewing a guy whose apartment was raided by the German police, and he was
Interesting.
punched. He was punched by the German police because of his political affiliations, whatever these were. He called himself a sovereign citizen, which I think was kind of stupid, but
Usually,
yeah,
if somebody says they're a sovereign citizen, they might be a comedy routine.
No, it
No?
wasn't with this guy. He was kind of nostalgic about the old Kaiserreich or whatever, and
Not familiar with it.
yeah, I mean, you know what a Reich is,
Yes.
like the Reich.
Yeah.
What I wanted to say, yeah, Sargon of Akkad is a nice guy.
Oh, I'd imagine him to be. Like, when
Yep.
people disagree with him, they usually disagree with his opinions. And sometimes it's like, he's not, sometimes over Twitter, he confronts people in their ideas, but he's not to, like, the same extent as, like, Milo, where he'll just literally do it just to stir shit. You know?
Mhm.
I have some respect for Sargon, even if I disagree with him.
Yeah,
A few things.
the thing with that is, I was not so nervous about talking to him, but every time I'm really nervous when I talk to you for some reason.
That's okay.
Yeah.
It's because of my hair.
Adam's
Really?
actually really intimidating.
Oh!
No, like even in real life, he's
Uh-oh.
intimidating to talk to
Shit.
in general. He's kind of like he believes he has like genuine conviction behind all of his opinions, but the tone of his voice betrays the fact that he actually is looking for an opposing opinion. He's not just proselytizing, and sometimes it feels like because of how he says things that you can't really challenge him. But then when you do, you realize that he's a lot more open to criticism and debate than...
You're wrong and I don't want to hear it.
That's because you're a piece of shit. But on Sargon, real quick, because I actually think he's informative, the fact that I don't agree with him on everything means that I'm want to watch him and follow him because I like.
I like to try and understand opinions that are not my own because I already understand my own opinions.
Yeah.
Don't want to trap myself in a bubble.
The only thing that kind of bothers me a bit is sometimes it feels like he should be doing more research in some of his videos. Like he recently posted a Black Lives Matter video, and he showed a clip that was he could have snoped in 10 seconds if he had Googled it, but it was a clip of apparently Black Lives Matter groups chanting "We want dead cops," and then if you just kind of Google that, it's obviously was from 2014, and it was after a Million Man March, and it wasn't affiliated with anybody, and then it was used for right-wing talking points on Fox News, and it's I get what you don't need that clip to make your point. You're making your point very well, but then he puts that clip, and all of a sudden the integrity of the video, for anyone who knows the history behind it, and the fact that it was used for right-wing propaganda, kind of deflates. And so I kind of wish he did more.
There's a lot of misinformation on both sides, obviously,
Exactly.
and I can't say that any particular ideology is not. I can point out certain ideologies, I guess, but I mean, in terms of this whole alt-right versus New Age left sort of thing, I've seen misinformation on both sides in ways that it's I don't really agree with anybody, but I can understand why you have your opinions, and this is all just one big movie plot convenience where the entire conflict is caused by people just not understanding each other, right? Which is why I try to understand people, because I feel I genuinely feel as though the majority of conflicts, no matter how big or small in the world, are just brought out of people misunderstanding what the other person actually means, right? And that most people at their core, well, not most people on the entire planet, but most people at their core that we would be having conversations with even are not evil people.
Exactly.
You know, everybody's just too attached to
Their beliefs.
identities and ideologies to be able to, have the same level of skepticism and criticism that they would apply to one applied to their own. I think that's the biggest problem.
It's just making me think of Armin Wright, the movie critic, and how he's just so totally unabashed in all of his opinions.
Yeah. He called Steve McQueen a piece of shit
Yeah.
at what was it, the Directors Guild thing, and he got kicked out.
Yeah. And then if you look on Rotten Tomatoes or Metacritic or some rating movie site, and you see 12 Years a Slave, it's 90, 97, 93, and then that one out of all those positive critics would just simply use negative review, ruining the whole thing.
Yeah. Some people have called me Armand White before for disagreeing with Pixar sometimes. It's happened.
Yeah. What, a declarative statement on the internet with no evidence? That's never happened before.
Yeah. Well, people are comfortable when they can make an associative comparison, even if it doesn't actually make that much sense. People are more comfortable to be able to take something they don't understand and then say you are just like blank as their way of solving the problem, instead of actually trying to understand another person. That's how I feel.
To the topic, I think that there will be sometime in the future there will be a mass exodus from both sides, because the internet is such an isolated place and you can't forward any ideology really at all, I think, within that space.
Well, the internet's a blessing and a curse, because to everybody who's genuinely looking to challenge their own opinion and to discover new things and cares more about an objective truth than supporting their own belief system, the internet's an amazing place because you can find every single perspective that you would want. You could be a feminist and go, well, I'm just going to check out the MRA subreddit and see what they're saying. You can have conversations with people that disagree with you. You can be anonymous about it. You don't have to wear a label to have that conversation. You can show up as anybody. But to the rest of the world, which is unfortunately most of the world, people aren't looking to actually challenge their own beliefs. People are looking to say, oh, I'm a feminist and I'm going to avoid the MRA subreddit. I'm only going to consider articles that support my ideology to be legitimate, and I'm going to consider news sources and articles that do not support my ideology to be illegitimate. And again, I'm using feminism as an example, but obviously it happens on both sides. That's the majority of the world. And so what's really unfortunate about it is it's not just like pre-internet where people were refusing to adopt any kind of outsider opinion or influence or information. Now, with the internet, to a shit ton of people, it's solidifying them in their own beliefs, because they can go like, oh, I found at least 100 other shitty articles and clickbait sites and other people and other forums and other groups who agree with me, and I'm going to tell them I agree with them, and they're going to tell me that they agree with me, and that validates my own beliefs, and that puts me in a position where I can say I don't have to change, and there's no reason for me to ever believe that I'm wrong because I have other people. See, look at all these people, right? And like you can find that for anything. You can find that for like some of the most despicable thoughts and ideologies and positions and subcultures imaginable. You can be a pedophile and come across like thousands of people on the internet that say like, oh yeah, if a 3-year-old can talk, then I can fuck her, and it's totally fine. And you can validate your own opinions because you trap yourself in this political ideological bubble, and it's unfortunate, specifically because I feel as though so many people, despite having a wealth of information at their fingertips, it's unfortunately putting people in a position where they are more able to trick themselves into believing that they have more knowledge when in fact they are just reinforcing their own opinions that they already had. And that's why it's a double-edged sword.
There's this guy named Roosh V who actually
yes, I know of him.
The rape of women, and he thinks it's a good thing, and he has all these followers, and he's actually made a career of being a blogger. But the thing is, he actually lives in his mom's basement, so that's kind of. Oh
yeah, he's like a comedy routine on his own. I do like what sucks about this is whenever we have any sort of issue or controversy surrounding someone like Roosh V. What there's always so much fucking misinformation posted about it from both sides. Like, some people will say he's an MRA. He's not. Because if you go on his website that he owns and he creates, he talks about how much he hates MRAs, because MRAs, you can literally find on returnofkings.com. Rushvi, I believe he owns the website. He just posts for it frequently or something. But he has some sort of association with it. But he calls his group like the Return of Kings. Return of Kings being like, oh yeah, we need to return ourselves to a societal point where men are kings and dominate over women. And he says that he is anti-MRA because he believes that MRAs are looking to find common ground with women or feminists or other genders, that they are trying to solve the solution without overpowering and being dominant and being like, you are my slave bitch, because that's what he really wants. And that's unfortunate. What's also unfortunate is when people take someone who's so despicable for mostly words. Like, his words are awful, and I have every right to disagree with them, and everybody else has every right to find him a despicable human being, not support him, maybe even yell at him if you want. But where that kind of crosses the line is, like, there's videos online of him literally just, like, showing up at a bar and crazy fucking, I guess I should call them feminists, literally throwing their drinks at him and throwing glass and, like, spitting on him and, like, physically assaulting him and chasing him back to, like, whatever hotel or apartment he was staying at. And it's like, how can... I hate Rushdi. He's obviously, like, a piece of shit, and what he believes and what he promotes is despicable, and he's a man-child, and he's, like, everything's wrong about him. But I just so wish that people with my perspectives that disagree with him and other people that might share my beliefs would just stop fucking escalating it and taking it to a level where now you're giving everybody else ammo. Everything's recorded, right? Like, when the second that you decide that it's okay to physically assault somebody, then you're not going to change anybody's mind. This isn't this. We need to be seriously concerned about people who are on the middle ground of ideological debates. So we need to be less concerned with, like, super Democrats and super Republicans, and more concerned with the moderates, because those are the people who are going to change their opinions on any given issue. And the second that there's footage of somebody from your ideology physically assaulting people, then it doesn't necessarily mean that your ideology is wrong, but it's going to take a lot of those moderates and be like, I don't want to be associated with violence. I don't want to be associated with people who think that's okay, right? And that's part of the issue. Somebody's echoing, so somebody has their speakers turned up or can wear headphones or something.
Oh, sorry, I think that's me.
Okay, no worries, says Doug.
Okay,
Yeah,
I'll turn my mic off for a moment. I'll just plug my headphones in, alright?
Sure, thank you. No worries.
Alright, sure.
So do you think that it's the same like with atheism, anti-theism, and religion? Because I'm asking this because your favorite director, Michael Haneke, is a Catholic theologian, actually, and...
Oh, interesting.
Yeah, he is.
Well, I mean, so how does that relate to, like, what I was saying about moderatism and, like...
I think that was the question.
Well, do you consider yourself also a moderate on the topic of atheism and religion, or do you want to kind of pacify both sides and the moderates?
Well, I mean, in terms of my beliefs or lack thereof, I think that I've had enough debates to be at least somewhat confident in my belief that there is no God, or my lack of a belief in a God. And I'm perfectly willing to... The type of environment that I put myself in and the way that I have experienced life, not necessarily how I was raised, but the experiences that I've had in my life, have put me in a position where I don't ever want to stop being what is the word? I guess critical of myself or skeptical of myself or any information I take in. Like there's significant, I wouldn't say role models, but there are several people in my life that have been consistent factors in my life that have been some of the biggest influencers in my life that have been literally sociopathic, pathological liars, compulsive liars, and just like I've kind of been put in a situation where I've sort of been forced to want to criticize or question everything I see, and that doesn't end with myself because I've been in my own level of self-deception before. I used to think I was straight, right? I used to be religious, and my opinions have changed over time, and I don't want to. I understand where I understand the danger in becoming too solidified in your opinion to be unwilling to accept new information because you could be wrong. Your opinions could evolve. So I want to tell a funny anecdote of something that kind of happened today, literally like 5 hours ago, or 4 to 6 hours ago. I was sleeping. It was 10 in the morning, and the doorbell rang, and I answered the door, and I was still like half asleep. So like already in kind of like a half asleep state, and a man in a nice like dress shirt and nice clothes is at the door. He has a very very like soothing and deep calm voice, and he introduced himself and said hi, and at first I was like, am I getting like audited? But he was like, so yeah, just going around, blah blah blah, something neighbors, blah blah blah. Like I didn't really hear what he said at first. But then he was like, so I just wanted to ask you, what are your thoughts on all the things that are happening in the world today and all the issues that the world is in right now? It's kind of a scary time. And I was like, well, I mean, there's obviously a lot of shit happening, but I'm not sure if I could really simplify it and give you a direct, clear, consumable answer right now, Mister, who I don't know who like woke me up for this. And obviously right away I realized it was a Jehovah's Witness. But what was kind of funny about it was like I think he held his Bible like in his belt, like behind himself or something, because I didn't see the Bible, and then all of a sudden, like he pulls out the Bible. He's like, I'd like to read you a verse from Luke. I think I actually let me see if I can find it. I think it was like Luke 10. Let's see if I can find it. And I was like, sure. And again, because well, first of all, I don't want to be like super rude. I don't want to be like fuck off when someone who's doing this is clearly, they're not being like, haha, I'm going to trick him into a belief system that's not true. He's thinking, hey, I might help someone get into heaven, right? So, you know, you gotta, try to understand people's opinions. And so I was like, well, I asked him, how long is this gonna take? And he's like, oh, it's a short Bible verse or whatever, and I don't even know if this is the right verse, but anyway, there was anyway, so I guess I was watching him, and he read the Bible verse. I don't think it was Luke 10. It was Luke something, I think, but
Luke Skywalker.
It was kind of like hilariously cherry picked because I was reading on the pages. He like held it out to me in a very very like calm and deep and soothing voice, and I guess the general parts of the Bible verse that he read were like, and someone blah 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 asked, why is the Lord not helping now, and blah blah blah, something world turmoil. And every time he read a new sentence, he like significantly skipped part of the Bible that like didn't apply, and I kind of found that funny. But either way, I humored him, and you know, I just listened and was nice about it, and he read it, and you know what? What's kind of fascinating about the whole thing is like, again, I used to be religious. I used to pray. You know, when religious people say they feel God, I felt that, right? But I understand that emotions are very powerful things, and I understand that, like, you can also get crazy feelings by sticking things in your butt, right? So it may as well not be God, because you can replicate these feelings of like warmth and comfort and all those, everything that you could get in a church or in a pew or like singing with other people, you can replicate
With a dildo.
without God, right? Yeah, also with a dildo, also with a dude. But anyway, so I guess in my like half asleep state, and yeah, he gave me a pamphlet or whatever. Shook his hand, said, "Have a nice day" or whatever. And in my half asleep state, I might have been even more like vulnerable to this sort of feeling, but I felt that comfort, that nurturing, like comforting warmth, and I was like in a good place, you know. I felt this like rush of like almost like euphoria as he was like reading the Bible passages. I'm like, this is nice, and so after he left and I was like still half asleep, just like stumbling back up the stairs to my room, I again had a little debate in my head, because I always want to be questioning things, but it's so easy for me to always like whenever I get into a debate over religion with myself and like the possibility of a god, it always gets really easily dissuaded by facts and logic. Is like the only thing it took for me was like after like 30 seconds I was like, well, but how do I know that that's God? Like, what if the warm and comforting feeling that I'm experiencing, whether it's the warm and comforting feeling regardless, and we all know that it comes from every religion, no matter what religion you worship, that same feeling. But my favorite thing to think about when debating religious ideologies is, so apparently Satan exists and is planting little temptations all around the world, and possibly dinosaur bones, but is planting temptations for you to fall into his trap so that he can lure you in and take you to hell. And these very same temptations are supposedly supposed to be emotionally driven, sort of, I guess, just, you know, temptation is self-explanatory. And then I think, well, I mean, what's more tempting and comforting than the belief in a God? What's more tempting than to want to follow that high, that chase the dragon of that like warm and comforting feeling that one would get from having any kind of like religious experience? So, I mean, if I was religious, then how could I tell myself that the Bible isn't just a trick planted by Satan, right? There's no way to like.
Well, obviously, because the Bible says.
Yeah, exactly. But that's what Satan would say if he wrote the Bible. If Satan wrote the Bible, it wouldn't be any different than what it is today. If Satan was trying to like lure you in and trick you into like judging people for wearing two different fabrics of clothing, or like because they like dudes instead of having dual-gendered relationships, you know, like that sounds like Satan, right? So it's always really easy for me to bring myself back down to earth and just get back to reality. And as I went back to my bed and I laid down and I was about to almost fall asleep again, there were a couple things going through my head. First being that he literally, I've been hypnotized before. I've been like, there was some rich girl in Edmonton who had a party and they had a hypnotist, and I was hypnotized, and I know what being hypnotized feels like, and I understand the psychology behind being hypnotized, and I realized that what he had literally done to me at the door was hypnotism. He had the super deep, super calm, super soothing voice, and I shit you not, he snapped his fucking fingers. I'm not even kidding. And it's like, I don't know if he's aware that he's performing actual hypnotism, on people to get them to convert to his religion. But I mean, a lot of religions do it whether they are aware that they're doing it or not. But I was like, this was literally fucking hypnotism. And the second thought going through my mind was, I need a fucking boyfriend, because I like whatever like warm, comforting feeling that I got from this nice, charming man's soothing, deep voice, I would totally get from a boyfriend. So that would be nice. I kind of went off on the most hilarious tangent ever. But we were talking about Michael Haneke.
Actually, we were talking about, so the person who asked that question.
Sorry.
I guess the question I would ask back to you out of just curiosity is, what do you define as the moderate in that particular debate? Because we were talking about extremes and sides and how the moderates can be swayed, and he was asking about it in the context of religion and
so in context of moderate to extremism, I would say that extremism doesn't necessarily exist only within one's head. It's not necessarily... I don't define extremism as, like, I am super solidified in my beliefs and won't change, necessarily. I would define extremism as the methods that one would use to try and either oppose the opposing ideology, to combat it, whether it be violence or censorship. I consider those to be extremist without necessarily having them being attached to any particular belief system. So it's theoretically possible, if we're going to go to, let's say atheism is one side and theism is another side, the middle ground doesn't necessarily mean like not extremist. Like these opinions are not extreme positions. Whether or not you're completely convinced you're an atheist or completely convinced that you're a Christian, like whether you're Gnostic or not, I don't consider those to be extremist. You could very well be an agnostic and try to force your beliefs on others and try to censor people who are not agnostic. You could pretend to be like middle of the road in terms of two conflicting opinions, but not be extremist. So I think that matters more than anything, is the way you conduct yourself, really.
I was also going to ask, has anyone here ever heard or seen that movie called Religulous with Bill Maher?
Yes, and in 2008, people were wondering why that wasn't on my list. And as much as I enjoyed that movie, I found it to be a very kind of like preaching to the choir sort of thing. If I'm gonna watch a movie, or especially a documentary, talking about religion, I would kind of hope that it would just be more thing than like, aren't they dumb? That was pretty much the whole movie. And it's like, as an atheist, it's like, yeah, I'm a part of the choir that he's preaching to, but I would rather have something that.
What's the point? Right?
Yeah, exactly. Like I already know. Like I didn't find it to be purposeful in a sense, because I don't need a documentary being like, aren't they stupid? For me to like, I don't need any reaffirmation of my beliefs because I came to my beliefs through my own, self-criticism and my own skepticism. So I just found
there's better ways to go through what.
Well, I thought it was like kind of interesting from a film standpoint, because his stand-up, he'll make fun of religion, but he'll mainly center it on Christianity in his stand-up. And then when he made Religulous, I thought it was interesting that he involved a lot of other religions within that movie, and understanding also that it's coming from Bill Maher, it's going to be comedic, it's not going to be something super serious.
Well, it doesn't have to be serious for it to be better done. So I would argue that the commentaries on religion in the films Borat and Bruno were a million times more intelligent and comedic and I guess just well thought out in general than anything that appeared in Religulous. Because you can do the same thing and be like super funny and make fun of people, but it's the way that you do it that defines exactly how I guess talented or intelligent I would call you. So like in Borat, he doesn't just go up to someone and be like just make fun of them for having a belief system and be like, haha, like
gays or something.
Yeah, what he winds up doing, first off, creates the character. Character's hilarious and entertaining to watch. There's an actual performance involved. Goes up to the rodeo guy, And the way that he extracts these quotes and information from people is so clever and so calculated. So the conversation initially starts out as just some harmless I'm with a redneck rodeo sort of thing, and then it leads into a conversation where I forget how it started. Oh yeah, I think he said like he should shave his mustache or something. Like I don't remember. They started talking about somebody like dancing or something, and then his
Oh no, I
his
think it
reaction
was
like, well, the one's doing the dancing over here, blah blah blah. Oh no, yeah, he wanted to kiss him.
Yeah, he kissed him, and then he was like,
Yeah.
no,
It
we
was
don't do the fancy
it was
dancing
one of the
here. And then
recurring
Borat
jokes
replied
he was
that
doing, like,
in my country
the
we
parody
killed them.
Yes,
And
exactly.
then the rodeo guy replied, that's exactly what we're trying to do over here.
Exactly,
so I think that's how it
exactly.
went.
The way that he extracts this information is just so genuine and well thought out and calculated and intelligent that I feel like it should be respected more. So that movie would make it onto one of my lists. If I redid my 2009 list, I would put Bruno on it. But yeah, Borat will show up in my 2000. I think it's 2006.
Yeah.
It'll show up in there. It's very intelligent, and it you can achieve the same things, but do it in a better way, you know. Whereas I felt like Religulous was more or less I could have just clicked on a YouTube video of someone, you know, I just saying the same things. I didn't really feel like it achieved something, and when I judge a film, I kind of should hope that I'm judging it based on something that it achieves.
I don't know. I guess that's my bad with Bill Maher since I watch him a lot, so that's why I love it.
That's all right. Excuse me. I'm gonna grab another Pepsi Max.
Do it.
And I'm not sponsored by them.
I
BRB.
have these headphones too, so we get a copyright strike if I show them.
I'm a head out, guys. I'm coughing way too much.
No worries. Take it easy.
Yeah, take care. Get better.
Yeah, thanks, guys. See ya.
Test 1 2 3.
I think on Religulous, it's such a quintessentially Bill Maher movie in that it's kind of made for people who already like him to make people who like him like him more.
Exactly.
He's a bit like I actually can't say that I really like Bill Maher. He's a little. He can be a little full of himself, even though he will say intelligent things often and have people who disagree with him on often, which I respect in any.
Yeah.
Like I respect that he has.
It's a YouTube live stream.
Sorry?
Hang on.
I think he was talking to his mom.
Oops.
Hey, what? Well, with Borat, one thing I thought was isn't it kind of polarizing though? The people who really get the intelligent humor out of the movie see it one way, and then there's like the haha, it's funny because he's doing stupid shit, and then there's the people in the middle who thought it was just a stupid movie. There's a lot of people who didn't really see it as what it actually did in terms of political and social commentary.
It wasn't made for the people in the middle. It was made for the people on the left, and I think that was an intentional calculation by him. And I.
Oh, for sure.
So I don't know.
But so many people judged it based off of that, like, oh, it's just a stupid, potty humor type movie. It's like, oh, just a bunch of dumb shit going on. When there was a lot more to it.
Wait, you're talking about Borat or Religulous?
Borat.
Oh shit, sorry. I thought you meant Religulous.
No,
Borat was much more intelligent because where Religulous fails and goes to the left and goes, hey, people on the left, look at me.
Oh, yeah.
Borat goes, here, people on the right, people in the middle, check out what you guys look like to us. I think I have a lot of that.
I would just like to address something really quickly. Some people in the YouTube chat are asking me to check my Patreon as though they've sent me a message there because apparently they didn't get the Hangout link. I'll send it again, but I don't see any messages
They're
for
strangely.
myself. So maybe Patreon's not sending it properly. What I can do is if Rosie M, I tried to control F on my current patrons. I control F'd Rosie, and I found a Rosie, but it wasn't a Rosie M. So if your name's different on Patreon and you wouldn't mind posting it in chat, I can try to send you the invite link manually, I guess, and just see if maybe there's an issue. But otherwise, I'm just gonna group send the message again to the patrons. I've already sent it like 3 times, but I'll send it one more time. I don't know. I don't know if Patreon doesn't send it properly. I have no idea. I could also, I guess, post it on the Patreon wall. I don't know. But either way, I'm sending the actual message again. So hopefully that works. What were we talking about?
Borat.
Borat.
Excuse me.
And how dumb people call Sacha Baron Cohen unintelligent.
Oh man.
Oh yeah.
They don't even know him. That's the best
Yeah.
part. No one like you will see him in other movies and not recognize him. So people like are actually mad at the character, but they think they should be mad at the actor. It's kind of
Yeah, exactly.
It's like a Stephen Colbert thing. But,
I think actually Sasha's kind of timed himself really badly because he used to make really intelligent movies and people were calling him dumb, and now he's making actually dumb shit like the Brothers Grimsby and stuff. And now he's
Wow,
gonna have
that's
a
him as an actor, right?
yeah, what would you do?
Well, yeah. I mean, he's still a great actor, but he's not making as intelligent stuff as he used to.
He's making money.
Oh.
That's true. Well, he should.
Making some
Like,
kind of money.
he's very underrated,
I
I'd
like him
say.
a lot, actually.
I do. I wish he would get more work.
Well,
It's such a shame that they canceled that Freddie Mercury movie he was in.
Oh man.
Oh yeah, that would have been really
so
cool.
good. He would've
Yeah,
been so
I remember hearing about that.
That was awesome.
What was the? Why did they cancel it again? Somebody was like pissed off.
Basically, Brian May, they wanted to pace the film so that only the first half is about Freddie Mercury, and then he would die, and the second half would be all about the band after he's dead, which is like nobody cared about that, so they just
Yeah.
canceled it.
That's kind of funny.
Because the rest of the
Yeah.
band actually is a really interesting history after Freddie dies. Like they
Yeah.
all went on to be kind of very successful solo artists for them, especially Roger Taylor. Like I was.
Yeah.
But yeah,
Totally.
and he would have been so good as Freddie Mercury. He would have.
It would have been perfect casting, seriously.
Oh yeah.
Actually, would have been so good.
Yeah.
So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna copy paste the exact same Patreon message that I sent to people in the regular post on my Patreon page. And was this for the link? No. Oh, and that way, for whatever reason you didn't get the message, you can just check on the wall, and it will be accessible to everybody pledging, obviously, $10 or more, because that's the cutoff point for the Hangout. But Rosie May, I Control F'd or Command F'd your name in my view all current patrons, and I didn't find you. So, are you donating to someone on Patreon who has the same name and who is pretending to be? Maybe, I don't know. Does that exist? I guess I'll have to find out. But either way, I'm posting it just on my regular Patreon page. And if you can't see that, and I mean, like you say, you've sent me messages and I don't see them, so this is all I can do. But yeah, so we're just gonna continue this conversation.
All right. Well, I'm pretty much done. Well, until I come up with anything, everyone else can just ask their questions.
Sure.
I don't get why some of your mods on Twitch have been pestering the amazing atheist about you coming on his show, on his
That's
podcast.
been happening?
Yeah, that's happening. You can look.
In what way?
On his Ask FM, people are asking him.
What have they said?
One of them has said, I'm a mod on Adam's Twitch account, and they've been asking, have you been watching YMS videos? How do you find them? He said he watched your Cool Cat review, but nothing else, really. And that you'll never come on the podcast.
Yeah, there's a extremely long story to go along with this that I don't feel like I should be talking about right now, because it would paint him in an extremely negative light, and it would probably start some internet drama that I'm not really interested in because I'm an adult. And the only thing I have to say about it is, with all context, with all information presented, it paints him in an extremely negative light, and I can't think of a single person that would look at the entire story and think that I did anything wrong. And that's all I guess.
Well, he
Well,
is kind of a sociopath, really.
Yeah.
Yeah. Let's
And he's-
change the subject because I'm not interested in.
No,
Okay.
He's,
no.
he has a history of, you know, responding to drama, and I
Yeah.
don't really feel like doing that.
Yeah.
I
Well,
want to
we
be an
don't have-
adult, and
Obviously, let's
this is
not
in
get into this.
kindergarten.
Yes.
So
Because,
let's.
obviously, pulling you into this would be a serious thing, so let's just change the subject,
Thank you.
I guess.
Yeah. Sorry for asking.
That's cool.
That's all right.
I wanted to ask you a question.
Yep.
What do you think about Andrei Tarkovsky as like a director? Have you watched any of his films at all?
You know what? I've been very excited to watch his films. In fact, I already own one of them, but I have not seen them yet. So I'm really looking forward to Solaris and Stalker, but I just haven't put
Yeah.
aside the time to see them yet. And I know that Hanukkah is very inspired.
Yeah, definitely. I watched Solaris last week, and it was really amazing. Like, I think you'll love it because it's just like this amazing story that people say it's like, oh, it's like the Russian 2001. I definitely see that because 2001 was released in 1968, and this was 1972, and he was like heavily influenced a little bit, but I don't really see it. Like, I see like the space theme, but how they're created was totally different. Like, the whole movie is just this beautiful like stream of consciousness that's amazing. Like, it's a really amazing movie.
Yeah, it's Tarkovsky's. That's his name, right? Tarkovsky?
Yeah,
Yeah.
Tarkovsky.
Yeah. Just there's a few directors whose names I confuse. One of those directors that like I already know without watching a single one of his films that I'm going to enjoy it. And in fact, actually, I've seen parts of one of his films in The Witness. There was like a 12-minute clip of one of his films at one point, but I don't really want to say the whole context because everybody should just play that game and beat it.
Which one?
The Witness?
Oh, yeah.
So good. Oh, you pledged to the Adam Plays Patreon? Oh. That's a hangout with Mark, not with me. Yeah. Mark's responsible for that hangout. If you want to do the hangout with me, you got to pledge to this one. If you want to do it with both of us, then I mean, Mark would be on this one if he wasn't visiting his family this weekend. So yeah, sorry, Rosie. Yeah.
Apparently, Bane joined. That just happened. Someone. Welcome, Bane.
Hey, Bane.
Tom
I don't think
Hardy.
your mic's working properly.
Is my microphone working, by the way?
Yes.
Yeah, you're good.
Okay. I was just checking because I was fucking around with my wires before.
Mhm.
It's a bit of a clusterfuck.
Oh, I found something, Adam, that you might like.
Yes.
So, I was in Atlanta, and I was at this theater, and they were playing The Room there, and Tommy Wiseau was there.
Shit.
And then, look what I got signed, if you can see.
Oh, shit.
Oh, nice.
It's a full script.
That's
So it
sick.
says, "To Ivan, Love is Blind, Love Tommy Wiseau." He's a really nice guy.
Yeah, it seems like it.
I can't wait for Neil Breen's next film.
Man.
Pass through.
Oh,
Yeah. Apparently, it had a screening in Toronto, but I don't live there, so.
I mean, it's a Neil Breen movie. It's pretty much worth it just to travel there to watch it.
Yeah, I know, right?
If I
It's
would
gonna be
have
any-
known, I actually would
I
have
need the
traveled.
Blu-ray.
After I watched your video on that, I watched all three of them. I spent
Good.
like a whole night with my buddies.
That's
It
awesome.
was just ridiculous.
Was it everything you hoped it would be?
Oh, it was everything we hoped. Of course. At first, I was worried that like you had spoiled everything for Fateful Findings. I was like, oh damn, I'm not going to see anything new. But there was tens of hundreds times more material in there that you
Good.
probably.
I'm glad.
Yeah.
I
was
guess,
kinda
yeah,
my
exactly.
look
Like,
at.
if I really wanted to, I could make like a 3-hour video on all of his movies, but it would have been, again,
3 hours?
kind of like what I just said with Bill Maher, after a certain point, it would have been preaching to the choir, and I'm more interested in introducing people to his movies than, trying to convince people that something that's very obviously bad is bad.
So I was wondering, because I sent you Y tu mamá también.
Yes.
On Criterion, and I was wondering, do you think that erotic films have some sort of subjectivistic quality to them, that it can be exclusive to, say, sexuality, gender? Okay.
Yes, I entirely believe that. And I mean, I was really able to enjoy The Dreamers.
Yes, I loved the movie. I loved it.
Would I have been less impatient about the sex scene in Blue is the Warmest Color if I was attracted to girls? Yeah.
Yeah.
I feel like it's the ultimate like straight dudes and lesbians movie, but it's not a movie for gay dudes at all. Because it's like it really. It went past the point of the sex scene being about the characters and their emotions. It went past that point and it turned into porn. So if you're turning something into porn, you have to be attracted to it to enjoy the porn, right?
That's kind of like Room in Rome.
Sorry?
Have you ever seen the movie Room in Rome?
No.
It's about the guy who made Sex and Lucia, Julio Medem. It has Elena Anaya in it. I think that's the name of the actress.
Mm-hmm.
But basically, the whole movie is just like pretty much porn.
Yeah. I also watched Gaspar Noé's Love.
Oh boy.
In 3D in theaters, and that was literally porn.
3D.
And what's really funny about it is the actor from it showed up in that new Winding Refn movie, The Neon Demon.
Oh, yeah.
And so it was just like, I was like, where do I know that guy from? I'm like, oh yeah, he jizzed on my face in 3D.
Oh, it was a 3D cum shot?
It was a 3D. It like pointed at the camera.
Jesus Christ.
It went like it was porn at a film festival. This is what you're allowed to do if you're an established artistic director. Is you can get away with it. If it wasn't Gaspar Noé and somebody submitted this to a film festival, I think it would get rejected because they would be like, this is porn.
But did he kind of start out with Irreversible, which had a real fellatio scene?
No, I don't. All the sex was real, if that's what you're wondering.
Yeah, but Monica Bellucci actually sucked Vincent Castell's dick.
Nice.
In Irreversible.
Now, the true question is, did you do it offset also?
Sorry?
Did you do it offset?
Oh, haha.
Who knows?
Method acting.
Gotta do the shot a couple times, right?
No. Yeah, I'm a supporter of realism in film. You know, Short Bus, they were fucking. I mean, like it would be. It's the only real issue is that it would be difficult to find actors, like good, competent actors, who would also fuck. That's the only real issue. There's no like moral issue there.
You said something about the quality of acting being your only issue on Short Bus. I think on
no, not really.
Okay.
Or did I say that when I talked about it? Maybe, I don't know.
On a stream, yes.
I don't remember saying that I thought the acting.
You were playing GTA 5, I think.
Yeah, maybe I said it. I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't know. I don't remember. It's a good movie. I like it.
But it's good if you're bisexual, I think.
I think most movies would be better if you're bisexual. I think all porn would be better. Yeah.
Would be better if you were bisexual.
Wouldn't? Yeah, that's what I think. Woody Allen even has a quote which is like, being bisexual pretty much just doubles your chances of getting laid on a Friday night.
Yeah.
Which is true.
Yeah. Fucking bi privilege.
I know.
Well, I don't know. I mean, I don't know if it doubles it, depending on which way you're coming from. Like, if you're coming from the dude side, then yeah, it helps. This is coming from someone with bi privilege. I don't mean that.
Uh-oh.
I don't mean that.
Checking it.
Check it at the door, right?
Check yourself.
But I know a lot of bisexual women who say they have a lot of problem. Like they're like women. They come up to me. They're like, how do you get women? And I'm like, well, don't ask me first off. Yeah. I don't fucking know how to do that. First off, you're asking the wrong person. Second off, I'm pretty sure it's like it's equally as hard. I don't know if you double your chances, but you're definitely increasing them. You're widening the pool. Yeah.
I don't know. I feel like you have a better chance of like approaching a woman to have a conversation
if you're a woman. Oh, for sure.
There's been so many fucking times in my life where I've just tried to be nice and have a conversation to a lesbian girl, and she's thought that I try to hit on her and just gives me like nasty looks and just sneers at me and like acts like I'm some fucking predator. It's the most insulting thing in the world. I'm like, fuck, I'm glad I'm not straight. Jesus Christ.
Yeah, it's a bit of a pain.
I've had lesbian girls come up to me and hit me, like, and I thought they were hitting on me, but they were actually just lesbians, and I was like, oh shit, like I don't know.
Interesting.
I've had, like,
yeah, but you don't treat them like shit, right?
No, I don't treat
if
them.
somebody,
Hey, fuck you for coming up to me.
I'm not gonna like be like, oh, fuck you, big man.
I feel like men and women like reject people differently. When I like a lesbian comes,
because they act as though men are predators. Not all women, obviously.
But I mean,
there's a significant amount of women who are like on the defense as though they're always in this mode that they're being attacked, and it's just so fucking offensive.
And yeah,
it's awful. I mean, it's fucking awful. I'm so
like,
glad I'm not
when a
straight.
woman comes up to me and like it's trying to hit on me or some shit, and I'm not interested, obviously, because I'm gay. And like she's lesbian, she might get offended if I go like, sorry, not interested, or like try to brush her off. But with men, like I feel like men hit on women a lot more than women hit on men, and it's,
of course,
it's
because we're
always because they just want sex. And if if that just keeps happening to you as a woman, at some point you have to develop some sort of methodology to try to push them away. I'm not saying it's effective or right or justified. I'm just saying I get where they're coming from.
Well, like if you got somebody
hit on by guys all the time, like nonstop.
Well, no. Here's another core principle that I try to apply to my life is that you should not judge people from a certain group as though you should not project your experiences of other people onto people you've never met just because they're from a certain group. So me being a person who has like moderate internet fame or whatever, like I get approached in public, I get approached on the street. Sometimes like it's kind of funny if it's like awkward in a bathroom or something. Like people recognize me and they say hi, and there's a lot of people out there that would get so fed up from like this repetition of just like, oh yeah, and then suddenly think everyone's the same, or like oh yeah, y'all just want to say the same thing, or like, oh, I don't want to have time for you. But I never want to turn into that, because each person is an individual. Like each new person that you meet doesn't have the baggage of those other people that I met, and I shouldn't be projecting that same baggage onto this new person. And it is not a fucking excuse just because you're a woman that you should apply that to dudes. Like every single person is a new person. You have no excuse to stop judging people as individuals just because you've had bad experiences with other people before that. Like if you can justify that, then you can justify a dude hating women because they've had 3 ex-wives and just like, oh, all women are shit or something, right? Like you don't want to treat people like crap. People are individuals, Like I think that there's no fucking excuse for that.
Well, yeah, if you use identity politics in any form, you can justify all kinds of identity politics. You could say,
exactly.
well, I had a bad experience with one black guy, so it must be all black guys' fault. It's like that. That's
and like I've had bad experiences with religious people, and I've had bad experiences with people knocking on my door trying to sell me shit. But today I gave the guy, a bit of attention. I humored him for a bit of my time, and if maybe he pushed it, if maybe he was too insistent, or if maybe he slowly, throughout the course of that conversation, turned into an example of one of the bad experiences that I've had, then sure, I'd be justified in being like, yeah, fuck off or something. But you don't just start saying fuck off to try and prevent a possibility that you think a person might be. That's fucking awful, and it's a despicable thing to do.
I think that's harsh language. I don't disagree with you on principle. But I think to say that it's awful and it's a shitty thing to do.
It is.
We do
It's
it. Everyone
fucking
does it.
awful.
We do it to homeless people. When homeless people come up to us, we assume that they want money and they want to buy drinks or like drugs with that money. Like we
Yeah, but
do
it's
it
how you
all
approach
the time.
people, right? You
But I
can
mean,
have a thought.
Yeah, but I don't tell them to fuck
You
off.
can be a woman and be like, oh, I'm being hit on all the fucking time, and every guy just wants to get laid. And if somebody talks to me who's a male, then that means that they probably just want to stick their dick in me. You can have that thought, but where you're crossing the line is when you start to treat people like that without actually having any reason to do that.
Well, hold
beforehand.
on. Double-edged
You can be
sword.
thinking it, but you don't have to like react like it. You can be like, okay, although I assume that this might be the case, I'm just going to give it like 10 seconds or like at least just, not
I think
completely blow someone off and treat them like shit for like enough of a chance to give a first impression,
Can I just point out, like, hypocrisy?
Yes. Sure.
Just small.
Yes, please.
Because I feel like you're being slightly hypocritical when you just said you should not be judging. Like every single person is their own person.
Yes.
And you should not be judging the whole based on your experience with a singular.
Yes.
And you're using an anecdote about a singular experience you had with one lesbian.
No, several.
Okay, several. But even then, what if a woman, you could say the exact same, maybe that lesbian had several experiences with men, where she had that exact thing and she tried to give them attention.
Hey, but no, that's not,
except to her.
No, that's not, I never said that the thought was wrong. I never said that like, the experiences that you've had shouldn't reflect how you feel. Literally my only issue is when you start to react and treat people as though they are those other experiences when they aren't. Sure. So if I was being hypocritical, there would be no third, fourth, fifth, sixth lesbian that I try to approach and have a conversation with. If I was being hypocritical, I would immediately judge them and say like, oh, it's not worth it. They're lesbians.
Okay.
Right. So I don't think I was being hypocritical.
Well, fair point.
Sorry.
No, you're okay. It'd be hypocritical if you went up to a lesbian and were like, well, you're gonna turn me down.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Hold on.
Really good
hold
friends who are lesbians. Jeez.
Hey, basic question: who is the guy that is not Adam?
I'm Mark.
Black.
Guys, we're having some. The Adam Plays channel is going to go under some serious changes. Mark has.
I'm actually transitioning right now.
He's starting to get comfortable with his new. Sorry, Z is starting to get comfortable with Z's new identity, and this is the Mark that exists from now on.
Oops.
What are the pronouns we'll have to use?
Z's, I's, or scum.
I actually go with Shakespearean, like thou and thy.
Oh,
those are my pronouns.
That'd be so much better.
That would be really
so much
cool.
better if like every like gender fluid person went for Shakespearean pronouns. I'd be like,
yeah.
Oh yeah.
Okay.
Do you think that there is actually something like gender fluidity or?
Uh-oh.
Well, I mean, we're human beings.
Yeah.
And
Tumblr
when like if from a purely biological standpoint, and I will also remind people that the human brain is entirely physical and biological, and we're influenced by chemical reactions, and there is no like thought happening outside of what is taking place physically. When you look at the human body from a purely biological standpoint, including the mind, when a fetus is developing into a human being, there's actually a point where I think it's like both, even if you're a dude or a girl after you come out of the vagina, before that point, both fetuses are like literally identical, and at a certain point in the development stage, it would decide, okay, based on these hormones or based on whatever factors in terms of genetic, the genes competing from mom and dad, blah, blah, blah. Based on those, it would decide whether or not the fetus is going to remain being a girl or continue being into a boy. And so, like the clitoris would just grow into a big penis, and the vagina would, that's why you have like the slit down your balls kind of thing. It's like that's where the vagina would be. So to claim that like there's only like a very strict standard for what a man and a woman could be, is to ignore the, albeit minority, but the very real people that exist that are somewhere in between, because hermaphrodites exist, right? So you can't, like, if somebody, I don't think that gender is a social construct only, but I do think that there are certain attributes towards gender that are entirely socially construct, because pink is not objectively a female color, blue is not objectively a male color. That is literally 100% social. These things do not exist outside our human interpretation. But when it comes down to how someone identifies or how they feel or whether or not they have mannerisms or urges or attributes that one could consider either male or female, even if their genitals or parts of their body might not be consistent with that, I don't really see that as a big issue. I don't really see to say that there are only men and women and nothing in between, I think is just to ignore the very real people who are in between. Whether or not we want to, like, if let's say someone's born in this like limbo zone of halfway, and hermaphrodites are very real things, people. Hermaphrodites exist. Like, you can't deny that. So to say that like someone who's born that way should then be forced to choose, like, oh yeah, are you team man or team woman, and they don't want to choose, then like, okay, well, what do you do about that? If they don't want to choose, why would you force them to choose? What happened to like liberty, right? And then if they don't feel like they should have to choose, then why does anybody else necessarily have to conform to that standard? So yeah, like I'm totally on the side of people who say that gender identity politics has become like riddled with cancer, and there's a lot of fucking stupid people, and transgenders exist, and like, obviously there's shit tons of examples that the right or the alt-right could pull out of wherever they want to justify being opposed to it in general, and then if you look at somebody like Steven Crowder, who just literally don't even think that transgender people exist at all, and they're like that every single case is just people who want to be trendy, like, you don't have to take it that far. Like, there's you have to apply a level of like consideration and logic and moderation. Well, don't force moderation, but I think that there is a moderate answer to this that is the most accurate.
Are you telling me there's two sides to one issue, more than two sides to one issue?
Ooh!
How dare you?
That has never happened.
I'm issue fluid. I don't believe that I'm one issue or the other. I exist on the planes in between. I'm issue fluid.
Issue fluid.
I am tissue fluid, and I identify as a napkin. Oof.
Tissue fluid? It sounds like what I made this morning before I came on the Hangout.
You're not any gender, you're a horse.
Yeah, I'm a horse dude.
You defy gender.
I think that the one thing that needs to be addressed is some of these so-called SJWs have this prepotency that they want to make up all these different pronouns, these different genders, but you know what? If somebody personally, individually, to me says, I want to be called John Doe X or something, I will do that.
Well, yeah, it's like, even if you don't believe it, it's just a matter of being like, how big of it is it a deal for me to say, like, oh yeah, you're a girl, or yeah, you're a dude. And it's a lot easier socially if somebody who's transgender
and a lot
has
of
made a significant transition, like Blair White. You know, I'm never gonna call her a him. That doesn't make sense, because I don't, like, when I look at Blair White, I see a girl.
Yeah,
and without, I wouldn't even know that Blair White was a dude if she didn't, or yeah, I guess it was, if she didn't mention that she ever was. Like, I literally wouldn't even know. So it's so easy in that sense. And if somebody was going to call her a him, that would literally just be somebody doing that to try and like poke at her, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And what's also kind of a problem that all of these, some of these anti-SJWs are like predisposed to say, well, you want to be identified as this, so you're an SJW automatically, which I think is,
like
is
people
not true.
conflate things all the time. Like I said earlier, it's like it's a very human condition. Excuse me. For people to be comfortable with or more comfortable with assigning I guess analogies or similarities or associations with individuals that they don't understand, right? If as soon as there's something that somebody doesn't understand, people are so fucking quick to say like, oh, you didn't like Toy Story 3, you're just like Armand White, or like, oh, you thought that there were issues in The Edge of Tomorrow involving time travel, but everybody else likes it. You're just trying to be against the grain, and that's all you want to do. And your actual opinions are secondary to the fact that you want to be a special snowflake. People make shit up for themselves because it's the only way that they can understand it. And as human beings, us having evolved over however many years, what sets us aside from other species is our brains. And we have been evolved to the point where one of the most important factors in human beings genetically is the ability to solve problems. And because of that, our brains very much reward us for being able to solve problems. However, unfortunately, the byproduct of that is that human beings will convince themselves they've solved the problem without actually having solved the problem. There's more of a reward that happens in our brains for feeling as though we've solved the problem than or trying to be critical as to whether or not you solved the problem, or changing your beliefs on something like that. That's not something that our brains reward us for as much. And you also kind of have to be, I guess, more intelligent to even think of challenging yourself in the first place. That requires a certain level of thought that I don't think everybody in the world has. Where was I going with this? But
I don't know.
Fuck.
We were talking about
the anti-SJWs
a lot of tension about the not attention. We were talking about how the mind and the body are the same, and then there was a question asked about I can't remember, social justice warriors got brought up. And
no, yeah, I was just talking about people being more comfortable assigning people because the reason why I was talking about
pronouns.
Yeah, we were talking about. I was responding to him saying that there are people out there who automatically assume like, oh, if someone's transgender, then they must be an SJW or something, or if somebody is, using pronouns, or if somebody has a specific issue involving any kind of like gender rights, then automatically you're within a camp. And that's just I was just explaining that it's a human condition that we feel more comfortable assigning people into groups, because then it's like, oh, we solved it.
Yeah.
Like we feel more comfortable just having an immediate solution to something that we don't understand. As soon as it's like, I don't understand that issue, it's just easy to be like one of them, and that's why you have that issue, is because like this is what those people do. And if I say you're one of those people, then it feels like I've solved the problem, right?
It's also why some films like Spike Jonze's Her are so important, because they're such philanthropist films, I think.
Yes, yeah, they're always. That's always super fucking important. And I mean, it really. It's and again, I feel like it matters to reach out to people who are kind of like in the limbo area of, being able. So Spike Jonze's Her, or any other kind of like philosophical or I guess intelligent, thought-provoking movie. If you've already been experiencing these kind of thoughts and you've already had debates in your own head over what's being debated in the film or the ideas that are explored in the film, then you're probably gonna like it. You're probably going to enjoy it and just be like, oh great, like somebody else is thinking this, or exercise your brain in some way or enjoy the story better. And then on the other side of the spectrum, there's people who watched that movie and were like, it was just a dude who falls in love with his computer. Like, that's gross. That's like worse than gay people.
That's not normal at all.
With that, like, that was so stupid. How can I like a movie where there's not even a real girl in it? Because how can I relate to a character who falls in love with his phone? That's stupid. And they immediately write it off as stupid. And then somewhere in the middle ground is, again, like the most important people is the people who have enough going on that they are able to watch something like that and have it affect them and have their own experience start to turn the cogs and then get them to be thinking about these things. And I think that's why films and art are very important, is not just because it can create necessarily a story, but it can create a kind of emotional environment where it sort of forces yourself to discover these things. Like no one's gonna be like. It's a lot better for a film to sort of spark these ideas and concepts and thoughts in your brain, because I don't think many people are going to seek out a kind of lecture on the subject. You're not like, no one's gonna go to like a philosophy course to hear these things. Sometimes it's better to have these things in an actual film, at least for people on this middle ground area where there's enough going on that they could potentially think of these things. Anyway, I just ramble, die.
That's a good point though. Like when you're talking about like your own experiences, like you can relate to the film. I think it's also good to like for people that can't relate to that film. I think they need to kind of change their way of thinking, because sometimes when you're watching a film, you just can't relate at all. It just seems so like distant. But if you can be like, oh, I can watch this film at another time in my life,
yeah,
and be like, yeah, now I get it. Because
yeah, exactly.
Like if you don't understand it, just just make that experience, or just see how different it is. And if you can't get it, then just be like, oh, I don't get it, but I appreciate it at least. Because that's with a lot of films. Like you can't. It's really difficult to see what the director's saying sometimes, and
if there is like a specific way to go about it too. Because some of them are like left intentionally interpretable, like The Holy Mountain, like Synecdoche, New York.
I like that.
I mean, my whole experience is with Juno when I was in 5th grade. I saw Juno for the first time. I completely did not get it whatsoever. And then when I got to high school, I saw it again, and I was like, oh, I understand what it's saying. Even though it's surface level, I understood, and that's just an example of me watching a movie earlier on and then understanding it more and the meaning behind it and what its meaning and being what it's referential to people in the future.
Yeah, sometimes even like incredibly like surface level films with really, like, I guess somewhat shallow ideas and concepts. Sometimes, I mean, I would say to the majority of the movie-going audience, it kind of goes over their head, and they don't really watch films to get a kind of thought-provoking experience out of anything. And you can find these things in like even the simplest of movies, but I think that most people just aren't looking out for them. And I think it's kind of important to get people into the mindset of maybe trying to find things in films, because when it comes to filmmaking, especially when compared to literature, people are always passing off film, and especially television, like as one of the most passive things that you could be doing with your brain. Like, especially television. Television, I'm glad it's dying, but it has always just been a kind of like turn it on so that you don't think sort of experience, and that's why I feel like a lot of baby boomer generation especially is kind of what? Well, no, I mean, well, I guess I'm speaking from my own experiences of like, my parents and I'm sure a lot of other people's parents.
Maybe not as helpful.
Not necessarily looking for these kind of things in a movie. Like I remember showing my parents Birdman, and they didn't even notice that it was all in one shot, and I was kind of disappointed.
Yeah, let's not talk about parents and Birdman. Holy shit.
But well, yeah, it's like this entirely different way of watching things, where it was just supposed to be like a passive way of, like, I guess, entertaining yourself and just not thinking about life at all. And I like getting sucked into the story, but I also very much value and need thinking about the story that I'm watching. I need to be, like, to me, movies are not a passive experience. I need to have something where I can be thinking about it, right? Or at least that's what I get out of movies, and that's why filmmaking is so important to me, and like how it's done, and levels of perfection that one could achieve through filmmaking, and anyway, another tangent.
I do have a question for you.
Yes.
Do you ever plan on doing another YMS review based around a television show, kind of like the Walking Dead ones? Which, by the way, thank you for those. Holy shit! I thought I was the only person in the world that
Beautiful.
hated season 2.
Why, thank you. Well, I don't have any. I kind of want to do some thoughts on videos on shows that I definitely like. But I guess the problem that arises with that would be that if I'm making a YMS review on something, I don't want to, like, that's my main event, and that's my like, I put the most effort into these videos kind of videos, other than my top 10 lists, obviously, because I would say that those are pretty equivalent in terms of like how much research and time is spent on them. But anyway, especially if I'm coming at it from a negative perspective, if I put something out that says like YMS in the title, I want to make sure that it's at least like well researched and well thought out, and like that I watch it multiple times. And if there's a TV show I hate, then chances are it's going to be several seasons long, and I'm going to have to invest myself into something that I hate.
Yeah.
For that, like, that's a huge investment, and so that's kind of why I don't really want to continue The Walking Dead, but I will do one for season 3. Even if I don't necessarily call it a YMS video, I'll do some sort of review for season 3, and I have a shit ton of notes written up for it, and it's been delayed a million times, but I need to do it.
I definitely recommend.
Not because I feel like I have something super important to say about it, not because I feel like it would make a particularly great video, but in my first Patreon video, I did say that that was something that would happen, and I would feel like a piece of shit if there was ever any kind of promise made in one of my, especially like crowdfunding related videos, that I never fulfilled. I don't want to be like unnamed people on the internet, but there's tons of examples of them. I don't want to be like those people where they make a promise, especially when asking for money, and then don't fulfill on it. Like there's other videos that I've talked about making that I might not make, but particularly that one because like that was in a Patreon video, and no one's called me out on it. Like I'm the only body fucking remembering it, which is really weird. If I was ever a part of a big controversy, if I ever like ran for office, then sure someone would call me out on it or something. But
he forgot to make a third video.
Yeah, what was that? That was such a good voice. Yeah, it's something that I need to do, even if it takes me forever. But here, my release schedule right now is try to finish up the 2014 video this week.
Yeah.
And then Film Fest is happening soon, but hopefully I can get a YMS video out before that big mess of a commitment and time. And then Synecdoche, and then some other kind of YMS. And then depending on like how I have to kind of gauge my projects and decide what would be appropriate based on how long they'll take also. So, I mean, if the Synecdoche videos take forever, which they just might, I'm not sure I want the very next project to be
an entire
like Walking Dead season 3, because I know that'll take much longer than just a movie. So I'm trying to find like a good point where I can fit it in, but it's very difficult to kind of plan out what I do because the main events of this channel, the top 10 lists and the YMS videos, those are things that literally take like months to make, and so that's why it's kind of difficult.
So, in another vein, also I'm going to recommend, if you're going to do a different show, I recommend Arrow. The first 2 seasons were kind of solid, and then season 3.
The superhero one.
Yeah.
The season 3 was a fucking train wreck, seriously.
All the good writers went to the Flash.
And there's so many shows that I just don't even want to start.
Oh yeah.
There's nothing about that show that would make me want to start it. You know.
Like, even though I wouldn't say that season 2 of Arrow is like something in Adam's vein of taste, it was still like
it paced well.
Yeah, it paced well, and they tried, and I thought it was fun. Like,
you knew the motivations for the characters, you knew why they were there and what they were doing.
Yeah, exactly.
None of this, hey, I'm gonna drop thousands of nukes, and then hey, I'm gonna have one of it redirected and bomb a city, and then I'm gonna hack up a satellite, and they're all gonna just. It feels like a goddamn Neil Breen movie now.
Oh, sweet.
Yeah.
Now I want to watch it.
It is really, really bad.
Watch the last 3 episodes of this season. There you go.
Oh god.
Just to get back on the topic of having individual experiences and judging people upon those, like David Lynch has been quite a topic in the last few Hangouts, I think.
Yeah,
hasn't he?
You can't watch a movie on your phone.
One of the things that I noticed, you were talking about this whole cell phone debate, but the video itself where David Lynch was interviewed was when cell phones were only like motor razors and stuff.
I know.
Yeah. I just don't know.
I don't think they were razors. I think the iPhone had to have been out by then. I literally don't even think there would be an example of him to talk about.
He's an old guy. He's an old guy.
Oh, of course.
What year was it, the video?
I think it was 2008.
2008, yeah. The iPhone would have been, the original iPhone would have been out.
I mean, every time something new comes out, there's some old fart who's like really adamantly against it.
Well,
as soon as Pokemon Go came out, Mark was like, "Hey, why do people like this stupid game?"
Shit, it gets me out of working, so I will love it for the rest of my life.
You sound like.
Oh, so can you mention? I keep hearing, and I don't know, maybe I'm just crazy. Isn't it kind of interesting? 2008 kind of feels like the new decade division for the 2000s.
Yeah,
it seems,
kind of.
Yeah. It seems 2000 to 2008, and then 08 after. I don't know. I always hear that, and maybe it was the iPhone. Maybe that's why.
Oh, it was the iPhone. Orange Box came out. Halo.
Yeah, exactly.
Like a lot of.
And we're just talking like in general, like social.
In general, yeah. In general, it seems like instead of there being like the noughties decade and then the tens. Kind of have.
Yeah. Well, I mean, has it really ever been that like as soon as the number 0 happens in the decade, then everything's different? Like I think when we talk about decades, we're just generalizing. Like there's plenty when people. I'm pretty sure that video that Ethan and Hila made on the 90s was actually a song from like the early 2000s, which happens all the fucking time.
Yeah.
Is someone will think of like an old boy band song and just be like, "Oh man, I love 90s music," and it's from like 2002. And it's like that shit happens all the time, and we're just basically generalizing or summarizing a decade. It doesn't. I don't think it's ever really happened where there's been like a split right on the 0.
That actually happened to me the other day. I was scrolling through the Eternal Sunshine of the Spotless Mind soundtrack, and I started listening to the song Mr. Blue Sky. I was like, wow, this is really cool. This is like some 2000s rock, right? And then it turned out it came out in 74, and I felt like an idiot.
That's kind of funny.
Yeah.
I think
Eternal Sunshine does have a really amazing soundtrack. John Bryan's amazing.
I think it's
clickable about that movie.
I think it's the same with the movie Blue Velvet, because Blue Velvet is a song by 60s singer Bobby Vinton, but the movie came out in the 80s. Yeah.
Oh,
Blue
yeah.
Velvet is one of my favorite movies of all time.
I
So
love Blue Velvet.
I still need to see it.
Some things feel timeless, you know?
It's true.
Yeah.
And music more so than movies, I think. Sometimes music has that, like,
Yeah.
you put on that. Like the
94.
And I
Everybody
thought-
listen to
I thought
that
it was, like,
record.
2008.
Dummy.
I thought it was like
Such a good album.
2008, and you were like, "That's '94." I'm like, "How is that '94?"
Well, to be fair, a lot of that music, the reason it feels different, especially like with I would say Mr. Blue Sky and things like that, is because you end up hearing like remastered versions, so it sounds like,
Yeah.
oh yeah, this could definitely be from this decade. We sometimes we less associate music like feel than we do also how old the song sounds.
Production value.
Yeah, depending.
Yeah.
I'd say
Yeah.
also there's you got like different songs being sampled in tons of different music, music stylings, and all that. So you've already heard portions and bits of a song already that somebody just kind of put in their song. So everything's kind of mixed together.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
When I was at the barber today, they actually mentioned that because the barber I go to, they listen to like old fashioned, well, not old fashioned. They make it sound like it's supposed to be like an old fashioned kind of barber. So at one point they actually had like Beethoven playing, and there was like this really quiet Beethoven piece, and some guy was like, "Isn't that like the background beat? The 2 Chainz just slowed down?" And they realized it was I can't remember what the song is because I don't listen to that shit, but
You don't listen to Beethoven?
yeah, it was
That
something
whole culture
Beethoven-y.
Philistine.
And it was just they just realized there was I mean a lot of things are sampled. I did it on a radio. I had a radio show for a while at my college that I talked about this kind of stuff in music all the time, and we had a whole show on basically essentially fair use but in music to some degree, talking about how music has copyrights too, but people will sue over like a couple notes stolen.
Oh yeah,
Ice baby. We need to go.
Yeah, well,
That's a lot more than just a few notes.
I'll give you that.
well, you know what? I would rather we be going like slightly over to the more permissive side than more restrictive side. If it's literally impossible to stay right on the line of reason and fairness, which it's not possible because we're talking about art, and art isn't made just one way. I would rather we be in a more permissive society to use and create and recreate than be in a more restrictive society. So I mean, as long as you're turning it into something that you can legitimately call your own without actually stealing or pretending you created something or like republishing the same song as your own, like I feel like you should be able to have creative license to do that. And I mean, there's so many cases where people have tried to sue over like the same chord progression.
Yeah.
Which that just happened with Led Zeppelin.
Because like how many chord progressions can you make in 4/4 time that sound good, right? Without going super experimental, right?
Well, they do that to Creep by Radiohead. Somebody tried to sue them, and it was like, well, that's like a very simple chord progression. I mean, what do you expect?
Yeah.
I like to joke around. I mean, Radiohead's my favorite band, so I like to joke around. That's why they got more complex purely so people couldn't say they ripped them off. Even though I know that's not true. It's kind of funny.
No, Joe Satriani tried to sue Radiohead.
Yeah.
Yeah.
How long till somebody just...
It was stupid.
Yeah. How long do you think till someone just fucking copyrights the Do Re Mi scale? That would be funny.
Well, that's not.
Didn't some fucker copyright Happy Birthday once or something?
Well, that was Time Warner.
Oh,
Apparently, there's a documentary coming out about it very soon that I really want to watch. So let's check out. I want to look this up right now just so I can remind myself.
I think it is copyrighted. The actual song, like you can't use it.
It was copyrighted, but the copyright I think lapsed.
Yeah.
Oh no, yeah, because apparently while they were filming the documentary, they did enough research to prove that they don't actually own it.
Hey. Oh, wow.
Which is so funny because like every movie would have to pay $11,000 to use it.
That's why you would hear like a different variant of a birthday cheer.
Yeah, I want to find out what this documentary is.
Doesn't this kind of deflate the point of a documentary if you already know the results?
Oh yeah.
Not necessarily.
Yeah.
What is a biography?
Well,
You know,
true.
like, there's more to it than like
It's-
the result.
It's about the journey. It's about the
Yeah.
ins and outs of it.
I really want to know how they
Yeah.
figured this out.
Yeah, but,
So,
but it's a different.
It doesn't say the name of the documentary on Wiki. Well, let's see. Jennifer Nelson, filmmaker. Let's see if this is. No, I don't know. That's her documentary. Fuck. Does this documentary exist? I'm gonna look her up on IMDb. I don't know if this is the same thing.
In a related kind of story, so you guys might have heard about the Led Zeppelin "Stairway to Heaven" trial that started.
Oh yeah, because they ripped it off.
Yeah, and that ended last month actually, and Led Zeppelin won the case.
Nice.
And the jury was not allowed to hear either of the songs. The other song was I think it was called "Spirit" by Taurus.
The jury was not allowed to hear either
No,
song?
but instead,
What?
Instead, they had an expert perform the sheet music from both songs separately, so they wouldn't be
biased.
I guess biased or unfiltered.
What?
Yeah, it was.
How do you get a jury that's never heard "Stairway to Heaven"?
Well, they might have already heard it, but they weren't allowed.
Not
it wasn't
side by
used as
side.
evidence. It wasn't used as
Okay.
evidence by the prosecution or the defense, or by the prosecution in this case, I guess. And they won the case based on obvious knowledge that that chord progression and those notes were used in 1600s, much less like in today's society. And so I think that sets a good precedent because anyone can say that you're ripping off something, but then if someone comes after you for ripping off a song, you can just say, well, if they're the original artist, you can say, well, where did you get your inspiration from? Because everything is a remix. Everything that comes from something.
Oh yeah.
There's no such thing as like a purely original.
So many of these lawsuits, and I think actually the Joe Satriani and Radiohead one specifically, just end up being like they find out that the exact same chord progression was used even before Joe Satriani.
Exactly.
And he's like, well, no, I didn't rip it off. I just didn't know. Like, well, then what do you? Where's your basis? You know, like you can't. It's important just to make something that you feel is like honest and true to yourself that comes from you. And if you're doing that, then it should be at least somewhat easy to not be ripping other people off. You know, there's chord progressions that I use that I know have been used elsewhere in my music, but I make it enough of myself that like if I am ripping something off, it's obviously not intentional and I didn't know about it. But like the most common chord progression ever, let it go, or whatever. I mean, that's everywhere, and I've used it.
Something. I don't remember.
It says a judge's decision on the 30th of June to approve $14 million settlement means that the Happy Birthday song is now in the public domain.
Yes. Yeah, I heard about that.
There we go.
But I'm looking for the name of this documentary because everywhere's saying like, oh, Jennifer Nelson was making a documentary about it, but I don't know what the name of it is, and I don't know, like I can't even find her on IMDb. Really, I see like these other Jennifer Nelsons that don't say that they're documentary filmmakers.
Do you have a Twitter account or anything?
Don't know.
I can
I
check.
would like that. Yeah, if we can find this shit out.
We can get back to the conversation. I can do some research on
I'm
this.
just gonna open up all 3 Jennifer Nelsons on IMDb and see if I can find it.
I checked those. It's none of those.
Yeah, what the hell then?
He's a ghost.
What if you just had a dream that Jennifer Nelson was making this documentary and you woke up one day like, yeah that'd be cool.
Yeah, then I woke up one day to find out it was published on like all these different articles, and I had called like Huffington Post in my sleep, and they don't do any fact checking, so they're just like.
Welcome to HuffPost.
Hey Adam.
Yes.
So how's your own music going?
Oh yeah.
Oh, my album recording?
Yeah.
It's going well. I've been basically doing an average of like 1 session a week because I'm working on my film reviews shit full time, so I can't. I'm not gonna like do it all in like a 2-week period because that would take too much time out of work. Plus, the way I want to do it is to give myself enough flexibility to not be forcing art in a sense. So I'm I'm treating it very experimentally in a way. Like I want to be able to re-record things. So there was a track that was supposed to open up the album, and just last week I was like, I don't want it there. So I'm cutting out the intro nameless, and we're gonna open it up with Friday Nights instead.
Yeah.
And I like the freedom of being able to do that. I think that's how art should be. To look at something, and if you've done X amount of it, even if like I recorded the drums and piano of that song, I put in work, I put in hours to it. But I think it's important to be able to say like, no, it didn't work, and I don't want it to open up that way. Then be like, oh, I've made this commitment and I'm going to stick to it. I don't think that's how art should be. So I'm trying to. It's coming along nicely, and I love the way that the drums sound for most of the tracks. They've got really awesome mics and a great setup, and
yeah, I was just asking because recently I've listened to some of An Unkindness on Spotify, and I've kind of drawn the parallel to you and Anthony and the Johnsons. I've thought of in my mind you're kind of like the Finn Anthony and the Johnsons.
I don't even know who that is.
You don't know Anthony Haggerty? You don't know her? She's a she does like really I want to call them melancholical. Do you say it that way in English? Songs.
Melancholy.
Yeah, melancholy in her songs, and it's often really symbolically sexual. Like there's a song that's called "Cripple," and it's about cutting body parts off, and it grows back like a starfish, talking about her being transgender and stuff. It's really deep.
That's cool.
Yeah, it's really cool. You should listen to the albums. Anthony and the Johnsons. That's their debut. Yeah, and I'm a Bird Now. I'll write it in the chat.
Okay, awesome. Yeah, send me a message on Patreon later, just so I remember to check it when I'm
on
time to listen to it.
I'm on PayPal.
Oh yeah, you're the PayPal person. Oh, interesting. Well, then you have that email, so then just send me.
Yeah.
I responded with an email. Sorry.
Oh, I was going to ask in more relations to your music as well. When you're creating music, do you ever, because you kind of talked about like you had that song near the beginning of the album and then you decided, nah, fuck it, I don't want it there. Have you ever gotten frustrated with coming back to something you created and deciding, fuck, I actually don't like this, or oh, I don't like the way I did that? Does it ever get to the point where it becomes frustrating?
No. Well, it's. I don't look at things that I've created and grew out of as mistakes. I view them as stepping stones. So it doesn't really I can't imagine getting frustrated at like looking back at something I've made and not liking it, because there's plenty of that. Go to my Dark Ocean Films channel. Go to that one music video on my channel for like half of the shit on my Unkindness channel, because it's so old, right? It's all from like when I was like 18. So obviously a lot of that hasn't aged well, and I've grown as a musician and as a person. And artist or whatever in general since then. So I mean, if I were to go back and make them, I'd make them differently. But I don't find it frustrating. It's just a part of growth.
I guess I wasn't referring more in like length of time. I mean, in the process of creating, let's say, just one song. Let's say. For example, sometimes I do some composition work for percussion ensembles and whatnot. And so if I'm trying to compose a piece and I write something and I like the way it sounds, and I wake up the next morning and I listen to it, I'm like, fuck, that's actually terrible. And then I try to go and fix it. And then the next day I get up and I'm like, fuck, that's also terrible. And it's almost like my brain has a different way of viewing what sounds good each day, and so I don't know. Maybe it's just me. Maybe I'm fucking crazy.
Well, apparently he understands. But
I love this. This is one of my favorite topics of all time, and it's like it's the topic itself is the process of creation, and how you process your own work. there is the guy who, again, what was his name? Davey Whedon, the guy who made the Stanley Parable, has a blog where he talks about this a lot, and it's actually, he actually praises it and words it in a really interesting fashion. If you've ever checked out or heard of the game The Beginner's Guide, I would recommend you
Still haven't played it.
Well, I recommend you play it because I think you would understand it. It's made for people like you and kind of like me, where you kind of, every part of the process is the hardest part. Every part of the process of writing. Well, first of all, like coming up with something, that's hard. But once you have something, you start writing it, and then you hate it immediately. And it's like, how are you gonna finish it? And you come back to it, and then you don't want to finish it. You have like half a song, and it's like, this was so long ago, and I'm not where I was, like in the same place where I started writing this song. How am I gonna finish it? And you just end up with all this like unfinished work. And again, that's check out The Beginner's Guide if you like that. If that sounds like
I played that game. I never thought about phrasing it that way. That's interesting.
Yep. I have yet to play it, so no
good.
spoilerinos.
It's been on my list.
I get that, and I can think of examples where that's happened. There's reviews I thought I would make and then didn't after putting work into them. There's plenty of videos and songs that I've abandoned, but I've never, I don't know, I've never really gotten frustrated over it, because as soon as I decide I don't like it, that's a positive to me, to not release something that I don't think is good, or to change something that I don't think works. That's a positive, not a negative. But I guess I can kind of empathize. Yes, I am going to TIFF commenter. I guess I can kind of empathize with the concept of having that, I guess, preventing you from ever really getting to the point where you can release something. But that hasn't really been an issue for me, because I'm always kind of able to get certain things to a level where I feel like they work and I'm happy with them, whether it's my videos or writing songs especially. I have yet to release, well, I can't really say that. I've never released a song I'm happy with, but at the level that I'm at right now, and what I would consider to be bare minimum for what I could release musically, I have yet to release something like that. So that's hopefully will change with the album I'm working on. But yeah, I've never really found that that I'm preventing myself from finishing things in general because of that. I've always, when I write songs, they take a long time, but it's because I believe that art shouldn't be forced. So I don't. So if I quite a few songs of mine, depending on the song, some of them I've literally written in one day just because it comes out so easily, and it's like everything I want to say and everything I want it to be is already just so naturally there. But there's probably most of my songs take like 2 years to write, not because I'm consistently, not because I'm like continuously spending time on the song over the course of 2 years, but because it's like I'll have part of it, and then if the other parts of it don't come naturally, I'm not gonna force it out. I'm not gonna I'm never gonna be at a point where I'm like, oh, I have to release this song, or I have to create a song by this time, and then force something out of it that's not genuine, right? Sometimes I need time or an experience or a thought for me to be like, yeah, this is what I want to say here, or yeah, this is how I want it to be, and then when I'm sure of it, I'll come back to it, and then eventually I'll have something. As for film reviews and like YouTube videos, I mean, there's a lot more of a formula to what's going on in my YouTube reviews than if I were actually creating genuine art rather than commentary on art. And it's not to say that there's like no artistic value to my reviews, because I mean, I feel like the way I edit and paste them and things happening in them, there's some artistic value to it, but it's not just like creating something out of nothing. I'm using pre-existing material to then comment on, and the whole process becomes that much easier because I can literally, I literally just go through the footage and then speak my mind, but obviously there's a lot of research beforehand, and some blocks where I'd be like, oh, I need to edit something funny here, or I need to look into more about this, or blah 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 blah. But there's at least some sort of logical progression that it can always take, where I'm not really stuck. There's plenty of parts of my reviews that I've like recorded and just been like, nah, fuck it, that's stupid, and then just skipped it as a like deleted scene, I guess. But
sorry.
I was gonna go on forever, so.
I was gonna ask, do you have like a list of what hardware you use and what software you use to edit?
I actually wanted to know that as well.
Yeah.
So, for my film reviews, I use a Mac, and I use Final Cut Pro 7 because I don't like X. Although, you might be stuck with X if you try to download Final Cut Pro legally.
Well, I mean,
a good comparison for editing software that's pretty similar to FCP7 that you can use on both Mac and PC would be Adobe Premiere Pro.
That's the one I have for Windows.
And then, yeah, Premiere Pro is good. It's very similar to FCP. Although I would say like the one issue I've had with Premiere Pro is that I've never really found that the way that I edit videos and what I'm doing, I've never really found like their although you can do a lot with their software, the one thing that I think that they lack on is like streamlining. Like for FCP7, it's so easy for me to just go like chuck, 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 like with all my hotkeys. And then if I'm editing on Premiere Pro, it's just like everything's so much slower, and I'm like dragging the mouse, and like every step that would normally take me half a second is then done in 10 seconds, and it's frustrating. Another software that would be really good to use would be Sony Vegas, which if there's like 20 minutes of footage on my gaming channel that I want to turn into a quick bits, then I just throw it in Sony Vegas on my PC, because that is a very fast, very streamlined, very easy to use software that isn't nearly as limited as other softwares would be. Sony Vegas is like almost all of the capabilities of what you could do on Premiere Pro, except Sony Vegas is much more easy to use. So those would be the three softwares that I recommend for video editing.
And how did you learn how to edit personally?
I will answer that question just once I finish up answering the rest of the.
All right.
I think
I was also going to add on
about hardware too.
Yeah.
There's different mics that you can use. This is a really good starter mic, although this is technically Mark's mic. This is a Blue Yeti. You've seen a lot of YouTubers use it before. It's a good starter mic because like it's cheap and it works, and but you're not gonna want to, like, if you want a really professional sound, this is not what you want to use. This is the type of microphone that will pick up like the entire room. So it's great for these things because I don't really care too much about like having this crisp, pristine sound for this, because I'm just answering questions and it's going to be on my vlog channel, and like it's all going through it's all going through the internet anyway, and it's going to have some sort of quality deterioration regardless. But it's good for this because he can talk and you can still hear him. It picks up the whole room. That's what this mic is really great for. The mics that I use for my my film reviews and for my gaming channel are Shure KSM32 microphones, and they're pricey, but I mean, I saved up money to get them, and I think like they pay for itself because it's what I do for a job. With those microphones, they got to be like in front of you. If you put them to the side, then it's gonna you're barely gonna hear yourself. If you're like this far away, you're barely gonna hear yourself. They're the type of microphones that they pick up everything that's in front of it, which is great because I don't want a lot of extra noise. If there's something else happening in the house, or maybe somebody's having a party, or like my air conditioner is running, or a fan or something, I don't want all that noise. So that's why those microphones work well for me. Other thing that's very important is an audio interface. So these microphones that I just listed are not USB microphones. They're not going to plug into your computer. They use, I think they're called XLR cables.
Yeah.
Is that the microphone cables? Yeah. So they're standard microphone cables that you would use in like for music or audio recording or whatever. I could be using these same microphones to be recording my album too. So you need an audio interface to plug into your computer. I started out with a FireWire audio interface from I don't know what. I don't remember the brand, Pro something, and it worked well enough, but it was kind of on the cheaper side, and eventually, I mean, like, I was getting sick of, what is it called, peaking. So when you talk too loud on a microphone and it goes into, like, the red area, depending on your audio interface, which is what I learned when I changed, is that it's very dependent on your audio interface how it's going to handle the audio peaking. So when in my older videos on my gaming channel, if you look at the first Outlast video I did, there's parts where I scream, and it doesn't just peak, it doesn't just like sound like distorted, it sounds awful, like way too loud, clicking, like this
very
irritating, like headache sound. And I found I eventually upgraded to a Scarlett i8 something, 18i8. And that fixed everything. So even if I peak, it doesn't sound like that jarring and awful and irritating. So audio interface matters a lot, and the Scarlett ones are pretty awesome. I don't remember their whole brand name, but it's like an 18i8, I think. And there's different ones that you can get that do the exact same thing with different levels of inputs. My computer is just a laptop. It's a MacBook Pro from I think mid-2011, but I can check right now because I'm using this computer for streaming. About this Mac, it is... So I upgraded my RAM to 16 gigabytes because Final Cut Pro uses a lot of RAM, and when you're rendering, I found that the RAM directly correlates with rendering in the sense that the higher your RAM, the faster things will render. So get that RAM for rendering. It's early 2011. It's a 15-inch MacBook Pro. But yeah, always RAM is important. Video cards are important for editing. And then beyond that, what else do I use? Not much really. Oh yeah, I don't record my audio through Final Cut Pro 7. I use Logic to record with it, and I upgraded to Logic X, and I kind of regret it because Logic 9 was much better. Although I was also using that software for home recording. So don't feel like you need to chalk out a couple $100 just to record audio for your reviews, because you can probably just download Audacity and do the exact same thing. But usually, if you were to record it in Final Cut Pro, or usually just directly into the video editing software, it'll probably sound like shit. And then I guess, yeah. So your question was, how did I learn editing? Well, I'm just gonna take a sip of water. So, I think I was like 13 years old, and my brother did some stupid project for a video project for outdoor ed or whatever class he was in high school or junior high or something. Yeah, he must have been in junior high still. And he made his own video. It was called "Leave What You Find," and you can it's on YouTube somewhere. Sure. I can actually let's see if I can.
That'd be interesting.
Let's see if I can find it so you guys can watch it later. I have to find this. I'll continue the story in just 1 second. Just give me like 30 seconds to find this thing. Not on my channel, but I think I can find the channel that is on.
Oh man.
I think it's in either this one, or this one, or this one. It's in the side links to my Dark Ocean Films channel. So, just scrolling
I see
through.
a lot of comments asking if I'm his boyfriend. I am not Adam.
No. Yeah, I'm forever alone.
Something yet.
I am his roommate.
Oh, here it is. I found it. Here, I'll give you guys a link. So this was on my brother's YouTube account, and it was not made in 2006. It was made much earlier, and obviously YouTube existed in like 2005 or 2006, so that's why it's uploaded there. So I'll post it in the.
Was this the first thing you ever
Hangout
edited?
chat. No, I didn't edit this.
Oh, shit.
It's a part of my story though.
Right.
So this is my brother's outdoor ed project, and I remember he showed it to. So I'm posting it in there too. He showed it to my like his friends, and I guess my parents were watching too. And I found it like it was humorous, it was funny, and I was just like, I want to be able to make something like this. And so immediately, like without any sort of school project or anything, I took this like mini DV high 8 tape recorder camera, and I started making my own shitty videos that literally just existed for me to watch and make and with my friends and for our own enjoyment sort of thing. Like YouTube didn't exist. And the first video I ever made like completely ripped that off too, and like was an emulation of not that video, but you know, there were elements of it in there that I just completely just plagiarized because I was 13 and, you know, I was learning and discovering these things. And so eventually it was just like, it became my favorite thing to do. I was using an editing software called Pinnacle Studios.
Oh,
On a
God.
very
I think I remember that. Yeah.
I had
and
Pinnacle Studios.
it was an awful computer, and since I was using like mini DV high 8 like tape cameras to capture the footage instead of like moving it over like USB, we had like a composite adapter to go to the computer, and then you plug the camera recorder in by composite the same way you would to a TV, like red, yellow, and white. And you would press play on the camera and capture all of it in real time. So if you had an hour of footage, it took an hour to capture. And you literally just hit play and captured it that way.
It was like VHS to USB, I think was the name of it. That was the device I had for it.
They had them,
I
they had
don't
this
know what it was.
Xbox capture. I remember back when I had a 360, I tried to capture. They had like a Pinnacle. It was like a weird like T-bone shaped thing. I don't know.
Yeah, I think it was similar to that.
Yeah.
But yeah, they anyway, so started making my own videos. They were really shitty, and within like I think a year, I had like 16 videos under my belt, or 15 videos under my belt of just like really shit, just awful, cringy, like embarrassing. I was 13 and I thought these things were funny type videos, and then in grade 8, it must have been grade 8, there was a drama project for drama class, and it was like, oh, you have to make your own home movie or whatever. And basically, like at the time, like nobody had like video capture editing software or anything. So a lot of kids would, like, part of the instructions was like, okay, if you just have a camera recorder and that's it, then you cut each scene by stopping the record button and then starting again, which was just like, and then when you play it, it'll look like a scene. So like you only get one take sort of thing, or you have to rewind if you redo a take, which I just found to be like fascinating. But I was listening to the Matrix and Matrix Reloaded soundtracks all the time. I would always listen to the soundtracks nonstop. And so I got this like visual idea in my head of like, oh yeah, this like chase music and stuff, and I wrote a script to the songs from those movies, and it was basically just like visual. There was barely any dialogue, and it was just like, yeah, we just turned this into a thing. And it's on my Dark Ocean Films channel, and it's called Half Dead, and that was like the 16th video I'd ever made, but that was the very first video that had like some merit to it and like some understanding of like art at all, or like editing or pacing or timing or anything, and it's awful. It's god awful. But that was just the result of me learning as I went and just creating things even though they sucked, and then eventually just being like, okay, this is how I make it better. I want to try this. What was bad about this? Make it better, blah, 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 finding ways to improve yourself. And then continued doing that throughout junior high, just whenever, literally, if I had friends in my class that we all just loved making these like shitty movies. So if there was an assignment on any particular, even in science subject or social studies or whatever, we would always find a way, even if it was supposed to be a written assignment, we'd be like, oh, is there a way we can make a video about it instead? And sometimes they would say yes, and that would just be us being like, hell yeah, we get to make a video. So I kept doing that. I had like, I don't know, like just a shit ton of these awful things until go to high school. So grade 10 when high school started in Alberta. And I get to high school, and we had a drama teacher, and she was pretty cool, and basically it was the beginning of the year, and me and my friend Joe were like, oh yeah, let's ask her if there's any projects that we could do, like make some stupid videos for coming up or at any point. And she was like, oh, you know what, we actually could use is we're starting preparation for the school play. We're gonna do a Christmas Carol, and they were doing casting for that and stuff. Like literally later that day, they were doing casting or like starting the initial auditions and stuff, like the very beginning of the production. And the drama teacher was like, oh yeah, why don't you make this documentary? I'm like, okay, yeah, and I just immediately just took on that project, even though it was like the biggest filming artistic commitment project that I had ever taken on at the time. I was just like, hey, oh hell yeah, I'll do this. And so I like went back home because I lived really close to the school, and I brought the camera. And from that point on, over the next like 3+ months, I was spending like every single rehearsal filming and like interviewing people, and I made this documentary, and the final product about just under an hour long, and I consider that project to be possibly the most important learning experience for what I've done editing wise, or anything that I've made on the internet, or just my art in general, because there was a lot of pressure, and there was like I was doing it like literally every day, and that's how you like learn, and that's how you grow. And what was so crazy and funny about it is that because these were very, very old computers, and because I was filming on tape, and I had like a limited amount of tape and a limited amount of space on my computer, I was in a situation where not only was I already recording literally every single rehearsal, meaning that like an actor in the play only has to show up to like the only rehearsals that are for their scenes. And so I was literally there longer than anybody else, because I wanted as much footage as possible because I didn't want to miss anything. And so every single night I would capture the footage onto my computer, which would take hours because I had hours of footage and it happened in real time. And then I would stay up all night editing, because I would then have to catch up to have... I couldn't just have all this footage on my computer because I ran out of space, so I'd have to like edit it into something shorter of things that I knew I wanted to keep, and then export it, and then move that original footage onto like DVDs in case I needed it later. And I literally have like a stack of DVDs about this tall of footage just from like that project. And yeah, 3 months later, then I had a documentary video of it, and I printed some really shitty homemade DVD cases, and there's a typo on the back of it. But we had a screening at the school, and I was, for how old was I? Like 15? I was 15. I think for a 15-year-old, it was a pretty fucking good documentary for a 15-year-old, and that's it. It's not a good doc, but for a 15-year-old, I think it's pretty good. And I think that very much just helped me in my learning experience. And I look back at that and I think of how thankful I am to have people in my life or teachers that would be willing to just be like, oh yeah, here's something that you have a passion for that you're interested in. Why don't I give you something to do where you can actually develop on that? because so many people, like there's artistic people out there who would be great at music, who would be great at dancing, who would be great at editing or directing or anything, but with our school systems, we try and crush them down into this very narrow, specific worker bee of a human being that you're supposed to be, and say like, these are the jobs you're supposed to pick from. This is the type of learning you need to do, and we're losing so many fucking great potential artists because of that. And I'm just really thankful that in my life I've had people that have sort of, whether intentionally or not, maybe inadvertently, kind of like nurtured those areas of my brain where I was able to do something and learn and use those young age that opportunity of a young age to turn it into something better. So that's how I learned editing, and like every other question I answer turns into a fucking half an hour long story. But
Oh, you're fine, man. I'm gonna head out though.
okay, thank you for joining.
Okay. Time. See you next one.
Thank you.
See ya.
We did it, Reddit.
How was it received?
People liked it, and you know what's kind of funny about it is not to bash on people,
All right.
but there was somebody else who went to that school who was very much like, he wanted to be the director, and he never made it like a competition or anything. But so there was like, he eventually went to Victoria Composite, which was like the nurture artists school specifically. But I remember like he was very much the tech side of filmmaking kind of guy, and he had all these like neat equipment things and like a lot of like technical know-how. And so the next year after that, when I was when I decided I wasn't doing a documentary because I wanted to be in the play, and then I got kicked. Well, I didn't get kicked out. I dropped out of school because I got kicked out of the play because of some dumb cunt principle that had nothing to do with the production. But anyway, so he was doing a documentary the year after, and it really like, he didn't have an understanding for like editing or pacing or like story, and it was kind of just like this mesh collection of images that like were filmed on a better camera, and he had better equipment to produce them, and we all watched it and everybody's supportive. But like, I remember after that was screened and after that happened, everybody was like, oh yeah, Adam, you're like, everybody would just come up to me and be like, I liked your documentary a lot better. But I mean, like, people liked it, and there were friends. I think what was also kind of cool about it is that I got to make something that captured a part of these people's lives, and a lot of them were friends and just people in my high school. And it was and because it was made by someone of that age, it wasn't just about like the director of it wasn't just about the director of the play or the drama teacher or, you know, the adults and how they managed the students. It was like the entire thing was interacting with students as a student or young people as a young person. And I feel like I got a very genuine kind of little window into the lives of high school kids when I made that. And I again, it's not very good, but there are, I remember certain friends saying like their parents watched it and at parts they like cried or something, because I did do the whole like manipulative sort of tear jerking third act thing because it fit for it, and I did put in a lot of unlicensed copyrighted music into it that worked out really well. But it's on my Dark Ocean Films channel if anybody wants to see it. It might be blocked in certain countries, so you might have to watch it through proxy, because there is a bunch of copyrighted music in it that I'm not going to try and fight because it's not really fair use in the way that it's used. But yeah, if you guys ever want to see that, it's like an hour-long thing, and right from the get-go is like the most awkward me in front of a camera that you will ever see in your entire life. That was like the first time that I was ever in front of a camera talking to the camera and not just like behind it, really. In a way that I'm not playing a character. Because for whatever reason, I felt at the beginning of the documentary that it needed me kind of saying, like, explaining the Yeah, like I felt like it needed an introduction from me, and then like watching it now, I'm like that was totally unnecessary. But it was kind of funny. That was my first. It was my introduction to like talking in front of a camera, which obviously I'm a lot more comfortable with doing now. That was kind of funny.
What is it called?
Yeah.
Sorry. What was the question? Oh, it was called A Christmas Carol Behind the Scenes, and I'll link it just in case it doesn't show up for you or something. Dark Ocean. It's on my Dark Ocean Films channel. You guys know about that, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
That only true YMS fans know about this.
I remember watching your Pulp Fiction video like maybe way back ago. Yeah.
Oh yeah.
That was another drama project. The Pulp Fiction and Dude, Where's My Car videos were both reenact a scene drama projects with very limited time and friends who were actors that like were leaving and did not want to be in it, so I had to like skip certain scenes. And people criticized, like, oh, you skipped the whole speech from Jackson. Well, my cameraman was leaving because his mom wanted him home, so like.
Oh my God.
There's a junior high production. Well, there you go. You guys can have that link.
I pointed this out on Reddit, but you look like fucking Paul Dano when you were younger. Like a lot. It's crazy. He's a great actor, so I guess take it as a compliment.
Oh,
I actually haven't.
Has anyone seen Swiss Army Man yet?
No.
I haven't, but it's coming to the Estonian theaters tomorrow.
I would highly recommend it. It was really great.
I'll watch it. It was one of those things where, like, even if I watched it and enjoyed it, I wouldn't feel like me making a video on it would have gave it, like, a significant amount of attention that it wasn't already receiving. So, I'll check it out. But, I mean, I would have checked it out already if I wasn't so busy working on my 2014 thing. Because now we're coming up to like the end of the month, and I've said that it would be out this month, and so now the pressure's on. So I gotta.
Come on.
Yes.
Has anyone seen Lights Out yet? The new movie. What
movie?
Lights
The
Out.
horror movie.
Oh yeah, I have no interest.
That looked really bad.
The trailer was bad.
Yeah.
I know.
And the short was like bad. So.
Yeah. Well,
There was a short.
The thing is, I watched it last night in the cinema because I was at like a friend's birthday thing, and I was just watching it, and all these people were like scared, and they were like, "Oh my God, look, there's a loud noise," and I'm just like, "What?
Yeah.
How are you scared by this? This is the stupidest thing ever."
It's like, very easy to emotionally manipulate people, especially when playing with silence and, as the title would suggest, the lights being out.
Yeah, it was so dumb. They didn't even stick to their own rules.
It kind of touched on this in my Unfriended review. Like,
yeah, exactly.
It takes fucking nothing to scare people. In fact, it takes fucking nothing to scare this guy. Because if I like walk down the stairs, just like, hey, what's up? He'll be like, ah. He's fragile. He's emotionally fragile.
I am not emotionally fragile. I just am startled easily. Not scared easily.
I know. I'm just.
It was your point, like saying that it's not scary. It's startling. Literally, a loud noise and a figure appearing on screen is a startle.
It's anticipation of fear without earning it. Like I don't. And if you like, depending on the type of person you are, you could just not be influenced by that at all. So
yeah, like. Fear is something that sticks with you from a movie. Like, this jump scare is something very temporary.
Fear is a choice. Quote, Will Smith, 2013.
Because if you look at the greatest horror movies and then these horror movies, it's like these work on the jump scares. They obviously took a lot of time with the scares and not enough time with the dialogue. The dialogue and the acting was horrendous.
They don't care. It doesn't matter, right? Compare it to great horror movies. Obviously, great horror movies aren't that. Rosemary's Baby, where are the jump scares? The Shining, where are the jump scares, right?
It
Like,
so much because Chris Stuckman's just like, this is a great horror movie in theaters,
Uh,
and I'm just like,
Well,
Chris
he also,
Stuckman-
he also like
Hold on.
he also
yeah, I know,
really
I
loved
don't want to
Babadook.
start shit. I really love.
Oh,
Chris
no, we're
Stuckman.
cool. Like we feature each other on each other's channels. Like
Yeah.
we're both in the film reviewer community. We have to accept that we're gonna disagree about movies. I don't think either of us are gonna like hate each other for disagreeing on things. But it's obvious to both of us that like we both have different thresholds for what we like. So I'm not concerned about like him thinking I'm starting shit by saying I disagree with him, because of course he disagrees with me on many things. I'm not sure he publicly talks about it on Google Hangouts, but I mean I'm sure he understands.
I was going to say, sorry.
No, go ahead.
Okay, thanks. I was going to say that there is exactly one jump scare that is really well thought out in all of cinema history, well, that I know of, is the one in Mulholland Drive. There is one particular scene with a jump scare, basically, but the build-up is what makes it special. I mean, I won't spoil it for people that still haven't seen it, but Mulholland Drive is my third favorite film of all time. And
there's movies with jump scares that can be good.
Yeah, but
but
the thing is, it's
Silent Hill Revelations, Pop-Tart jump scare. Wait.
but the thing is with the Mulholland Drive one, it's very much earned. It's like how the whole scene plays out is it's just this guy sitting there and he's like, look, I'm terrified.
Hey, don't spoil it. Come on.
Yeah, I won't.
Yeah.
But,
Okay.
For the people listening,
it's
I
haven't
just
seen it.
amazing. It's just an amazing scene. But compared to this is just like jump. There's a whole process, right? You start with looking for the scare, then you have the second process, which is the false scare, or maybe two false scares, and then you have the actual.
Those
scare.
are always annoying.
The thing with that scene is that you have doubt. You have so much doubt, but it's conflicting with nothing up to the point where this happens has anything supernatural happened. If you think about it, in Mulholland Drive, at this point, it's at that point that you realize that this is going to be a surreal experience, and it breaks the illusion. It reminds you that you're in this surreal dream world, and later on there's all sorts of achingly beautiful scenes and really nightmarish scenes. Mulholland Drive for me is really truly a masterpiece. I love it. Yeah.
Yeah, I need to watch it again soon. I got the Criterion. I've been looking for an excuse to see it again. I think I've seen it 3 times already, and I like it a lot, obviously.
Well, talking about masterpieces, I've recently bought The Shining on Blu-ray, and people are like, oh, that movie's kind of like fucking, it's long and it's a bit.
I don't know what people you talk to, but
that movie is amazing.
But
I think everyone loves it.
I know, but some people, I don't know. Some people are like, it gets obnoxious or something. I just watch it, and the whole time I'm sucked in, and afterwards I have a mind-numbing headache, and I feel like everything is not happening. Like when I watch that movie, I'm just like, I'm so.
It's amazing. I love Kubrick.
It captivates you so much to be like your consciousness for me is altered. Like how I see things is definitely altered after that movie. Whenever I watch it, it's just like intense. It's
he's a master.
You're in a different universe, and you're there, and it stays with you for years. And it's like
Yeah.
a horror movie that gets under your skin. That's like it stays with you for like.
Yeah.
It's not just the one jump
say-
scare. It's like the experience.
To this day, I can't understand how Stephen King didn't like The Shining.
Because he already wrote his book. That's why. It's because Kubrick changed it, and he was like, "But I liked my book," and so then he even changed The Shining, which was really really funny.
Like, I think The Shining really kind of shows how much a director can change something. As in, all right, take a ghost movie like, I don't know, any shitty ghost movie that comes out nowadays, and it's not scary, and then take the one scene from The Shining with the fucking old lady in the bathtub.
Oh.
Like, that's fucking way more disturbing than anything that's come out of Hollywood in the past, I don't know, 5 years.
Yeah, and it's all about like tone and presentation and reveal and framing and like everything that he's just so fucking good at. And the soundtrack to that movie really fucking helped too.
Yeah.
That is just so like intense and like I don't want to say like chaotic's not the best word to describe it, but like
It's very heavy.
I find it jarring.
It's
like,
very
There's some elements of Orthodox Christianity employed into the soundtrack of The Shining, which is like there's a song that's about raising Jesus from the dead, but it's the song is written that way in some language that it's not about raising Jesus but raising demons, but it's
that's really interesting.
Yeah, that's when Shelley Duvall runs up the stairs and you hear the choir like really angrily and building up. Yeah.
Yeah, that's another like it's been long enough since I've seen it that I need to see it again.
Yeah, totally. I'd watch it.
But why watch that movie when you can watch the amazing documentary known as Room 237?
Yeah,
and you also got the miniseries.
You have a really miniature
little drawing that her child drew. It's amazing. the drawing of the lightning bolt head that her child drew. That was a great part of The Shining.
Adam, you look like a minotaur right now.
I am.
Yeah, your eyebrows.
Oh wait, no, I learned that this is an Illuminati sign. So if someone wants to take a screen cap, and then share around that I'm a part of the Illuminati, was so funny. Because I watched a video of somebody claiming that Blair Witch was a member of the Illuminati because I think she did this once or something. And I was like, I just remembered like, oh yeah, they have that thing where they think that if someone uses a hand signal, that they're part of the Illuminati. And so I did a little Google search and I was like, okay, what hand signals are they part of the Illuminati? There's like 20 of them that anybody could be using at any given time, and it's just like one of them was this, and there was like pictures of Barack Obama doing this. They're like, oh yeah, Illuminati. And it's like, who hasn't done that? I was just so fucking confused.
Spider-Man's a part of the Illuminati.
This thing, there were people with you can't really see right now, but just imagine like my legs are kind of like outward like this, and I'm just comfortably sitting with like. I get like leaning forward a little with your hands like that, a bit of like pressure on your thumbs. They had so many pictures of people just doing that, and they considered it to be like this hand symbol.
So Jay-Z's the ringleader of the Illuminati.
If you like horror movies in general, I think you should watch
Cool Cat
Suspiria.
I'm looking forward to that.
And Suspiria.
Hey, there he is.
I would say
and
Suspiria
as well.
Somebody, I was about to watch that movie, I think. Or maybe it was another Argento movie.
Yeah.
But I remember a while ago I was about to watch like an Argento movie, and then someone was like, "No, yeah, the Blu-ray release sucks, and you have to wait for another one because they changed something." I'm like, "Oh, I don't know." But yeah, I'll get to a point where I can see it again. Didn't they remake a Argento movie or one that's about to be released? Let's see.
Possibly.
There's another like popular title.
Because I've heard a lot of great things about his movies, like a lot of really good things. Like, I've got like a couple books like about directors, and he's always up on the list as like this really amazing.
Yeah. Okay. Sorry, that wasn't a reaction to you. I found the thing on IMDb. So there is a remake of an Argento movie, and it is Suspiria. It's coming out 2017.
Oh my god.
It's coming out 2017. So now I really have to watch the original. So
I won't watch that out of protest.
Wild card being thrown in, directed by the director of the #2 spot on my 2009 list, I Am Love.
Oh wow.
So that's an interesting
turn of events.
Yeah. So we'll see what happens, I guess.
If this turns out to be
a great director, but I mean,
if a remake of fucking that is gonna be the fucking best horror movie of the past few years, then I'm gonna flip my table.
I think The Strangers was the best horror movie of the past decade or two. I think that was.
How can you live with Adam in the same house?
Something that is great about Suspiria is that you can spot the villain, the monster in.
I don't want to hear anything about it.
Oh.
I'm gonna block out all of. I'm gonna yell over top of you because I want to experience it with a blank slate.
Okay.
Sorry.
By the way, did you see the trailer for Damien Chazelle's new movie? Like, I know you don't usually like watching trailers,
No,
but
yeah,
that one didn't spoil anything, I don't feel.
There's sometimes where like I'll watch the first bit of a trailer and then bail if I think that it's going to reveal too much. The Neon Demon was one of those trailers.
Yeah.
And then after I saw the movie, Mark said, "You should be glad that you didn't watch the trailer because it gives away way too much." I'm like, okay, good.
I can see that, yeah.
The new Damien Chazelle movie, I watched the trailer and there was nothing about it that seemed like it was spoiling too much. So I like it. Cool. Ryan Gosling's in it, right?
Yeah.
I love Ryan Gosling.
He's great.
And I mean,
I feel like Ryan Gosling kind of gets written off as just another Hollywood pretty boy nowadays, but he's actually a really, really good dramatic actor.
Yeah, he is. He was
kind of like Michael
in,
Fassbender.
Drive?
Well, yeah, but he was also great in Beyond the Pines.
The
whole first third of that movie was fantastic, and then the rest of it was alright.
Isn't that...
the ending was kind of really sudden and out of place, I feel.
Yeah.
Beyond the Pines, I mean.
Beyond the Pines. Isn't that...
The whole first third of that movie is like, meh.
Yeah.
Fantastic.
Everything having to do with Ryan Gosling's, I mean, awesome in that movie.
Yeah. Oh my god, there's a banging at the door.
Oh my god, there's a bang at the door.
I'm so
triggered. That should be a text notification.
Oh my god, that'd be great.
One time my text notification was the sound cue for Black Dynamite. It would be like Dynamite, the whole like orchestra. I haven't personalized my phone in quite a long time because I've just kind of got like not interested, like just kind of bored. Maybe I'll personalize it at some point, but But I've always kind of wanted my text notification to be Eric Estrada saying, "There he is." That'd be really like that makes sense.
I'm sure you can get it somewhere. It should be an easy edit.
I can get it from my own video.
Well, yeah. I mean, it should be an easy edit.
Exactly. I'm all about editing.
Yeah.
So we're coming up to the 3-hour mark of this hangout, which means that I'm going to end it pretty soon. So we got another 10 minutes. So if there's anything like super important that you wanted to ask before it ended, then feel free to ask. Otherwise, we can just continue shooting the shit and whatever. But
I need to ask something.
Yes.
If I would make a music video, would it to a song I don't own, would it be fair use?
If you can use, well, I mean, the simplest answer is no, because if you click on your music video and then just don't watch the screen, you're literally getting 100% of what the original market was intending. So, I mean, there's quite a few cases of fan-made music videos on YouTube where either they'll put it up and the artist is like, oh yeah, great, or maybe the artist isn't connected with Content ID and they never notice, which is very unlikely. Or there's also been a lot of cases where, especially with music now, a lot of Hollywood studios and copyright owners will, instead of blocking a video or removing it, they'll instead just run ads on it. Mm-hmm. So you can always upload your video, and if they run ads on it, just be like, okay, whatever, like this money is going towards the artist. Yeah. Like, that's not a big deal, although it might, depending on the claim, and you could never really know until you get one what it will be, might negatively impact your account. So I would say upload it to an account that you don't care as much about, or you could upload it onto Vimeo, which doesn't have Content ID. But, I mean, at the same, like just understand that in court, I couldn't possibly imagine that it would be considered a fair use. Yeah. So obviously just do it at your own risk and your own discretion. But yeah, like I said, there's plenty of examples where people have done that and it's not negatively impacted them in any way.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah.
Oh, really quickly, one of my best friends who's a Brit is watching right now, and he wanted me to ask what you think of Brexit.
I was so uninvolved.
Yeah, I can imagine.
I don't.
Pretty much everyone who's non-European is
it
just.
will ever impact me in any way, and I don't. I can't. If I'm going to have an opinion on something like that, I would want it to be an informed opinion, which I don't have, so that's why I don't have an opinion on it. And
All right.
Like I'm not going to invest myself into doing all the research that I should
Of course,
about the pros and cons. So I kind of, yeah, I'm really apathetic about the whole situation because I don't really understand the major implications on one side or another.
Well, just say that David Cameron is a cunt and he'll be happy.
Yes,
Probably
he's a
safe.
cunt and a cuck. He's a cunt.
Good job.
I had a last thing to say, because the last time I told you that I was going to Vienna Film University with... yeah, I
Yes.
told you that.
Yes,
Yeah.
you did.
And the branch that I'm doing, that I'm studying, will be screenplays, basically. And my tutor, unless I pick a module that he'll pick in the 4th semester, will not be Michael Haneke.
Shit.
So, okay, no, calm down. I will eventually meet the guy.
Yeah.
Yeah, I will, but my main tutor will be Götz Spielmann, who directed
Oh shit!
Revanche.
Yeah.
Yeah, Revanche.
Yeah.
Oh, fuck.
Nice.
Yeah.
It would be fucking amazing, though, if Michael Haneke could come to a Google Hangouts.
Yes.
That would be amazing.
Fucking invite him on, even though he doesn't speak much English at all.
Well, I speak German, so I could translate.
Oh yeah.
It's
so funny.
I am Austrian. I'm Austrian. I think I'll be the guy.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. You can do it fine. Yeah, I watched October, November, which was his film that he made after Revanche, and it didn't make my list, so it's not gonna be in my 2014 list because that would have been for my 2014 list. But it was interesting. It had some very interesting choices.
I think another Austrian director that is kind of a peer to Michael Haneke is Ulrich Seidel. You reviewed one of his films, which is Paradise Love. You gave it a 5 on IMDb.
That's not a review.
Yeah, it's not a review.
IMDb rating is not a review.
I think you...
Don't judge me.
Yeah, I don't. But I think you'd really enjoy Paradise Faith, which is, well, about faith.
Okay.
And it really...
Yeah, he did the whole trilogy, yeah.
Yeah. It orients itself very much on the style of cinema verité, which is kind of related to Alfonso Cuarón and his style of documentarian kind of filmmaking.
Yeah.
It's
Sometimes,
really
sometimes
cool.
I give things a 5 if I don't finish them. And sometimes if I don't finish them, it's because I'm watching hundreds of movies for like a yearly list.
That's okay. Yeah. But Ulrich Seidel and Michael Haneke are basically best friends.
That's cool.
If you didn't know. Yeah. Good.
Interesting.
That's all.
I was gonna ask, what was it like interviewing Lloyd Kaufman?
Oh shit. Well, I mean, what you see is what you get. But I can tell you about how I got the interview, and that's I literally just showed up at RTX and wandered around the Artist Alley kind of dealer's floor, and I was like, oh shit, Trauma. And then I saw him. I was like, well, fuck, I gotta say hi. So I bought a Blu-ray, and like the girl there was like, oh, he can sign it if you want. I'm like, yeah, I'll get him to sign it. And then as he was signing it, I'm like, oh, so hey, I'm this guy, and I knew that he had already known of me before, because there was a point where he tweeted at me about something else. Like I think I favorited his or commented. I don't know. I think I retweeted his like Oscars So White thing that he did, and then his response to me was like, oh, thanks for sharing, blah blah blah, and said something about Cool Cat. I was like, okay, well, if you're talking about Cool Cat, then you've seen one of my videos, because like, where would you get that from?
Yeah.
So I knew that he had already known of me, so I just I introduced myself. I'm like, oh, hey, I'm that guy on the internet, and I do that thing on Cool Cat, blah blah blah. Why you're movie sex? And it was his idea to do an interview.
Oh
which
wow.
is hilarious. He's like, "Oh yeah, you want to interview me?" I'm like, "You know what? I really do." Like that's a great idea, and I can't believe I didn't think of it before he did. Like maybe I would have thought of it later, but that's kind of like that's kind of funny. But yeah, I've seen interviews of him before, and that's kind of what helped with deciding what kind of questions to ask him. And like I've seen a lot of his statements and commentary of the film industry and copyright and stuff, so I kind of had the advantage of leading him into some really good rants and conversations. And it worked out well. That was it was a cool experience, and I hung out with.
He's never out of. He
Sorry?
seems like he's never. Sorry. I was just gonna say that he seems like he's never out of character. Like pretty much, literally never.
He is a character. Yeah, exactly. He can't be out of character. He's a very.
He seems like a. No, go ahead.
Full-blown character.
He seems like a really, really nice guy, though.
Oh, he is. He's super cool. He's
Yeah.
funny. All right. Any final questions and?
Well, I
start?
already asked you on Steam, but I guess I'm just gonna ask here to get a bit more.
Sometimes I don't check my Steam.
Of course, I get it. You probably get tons of messages, and I get that. Don't worry.
If anybody's actually wondering for reference, I have stopped checking my Reddit messages. My inbox is at like 650 right now, and I'm never going to look at them ever. So if you want to get a hold of me, do not try to do it on Reddit. It will stay in limbo forever. But anyway, you're gonna ask.
I was gonna ask for your extended thoughts on Spirited Away, which is my favorite movie of all time.
Well, I would love to, but that's gonna have to wait for my best films of what 2006.
2001.
Fuck, that's gotta be a long time, isn't it?
Yeah.
5 years down the road.
Oh, fuck.
It's
such
a shame.
I want to like have it in like fresh and recent memory if I'm gonna really delve into it. Because all I have to really go off of it right now is like what I can remember visually from it and like nostalgia, and I kind of want to re-experience it first before I really get into it.
It's amazing. I imagine like now that, especially when did you see it? Kind of.
I don't even remember the last time I saw it. I know I've seen it like probably 3 different times, but I think the last time I saw it might have been in like 2008 or some shit. I think it's almost
exactly.
Like 10 years since I've seen
now
it.
that you've come off stuff like Synecdoche in New York and stuff, I would kind of say that it's a bit similar to that in the interpretive sense, and I would say that you might even like it more now.
I'd imagine I would. I'd like it's one of those things where like I can feel that I would even appreciate it more watching it as I get older, you know, or watching it multiple times even.
Yeah, exactly.
I think it's the same with me and Princess Mononoke, which is my.
I've only seen that one once, but I'm also looking forward to it again.
That one's amazing as well.
Yeah.
What were you saying?
That it's paired with Y Tu Mama Tambien as my 2 favorite films of all time. So I have Mulholland Drive, Y Tu Mama Tambien, and Princess Mononoke as my 3 favorite films.
That's awesome. Aerodynamic Cuck, if you really want to get a hold of me, tweet me at my Furfag Twitter, because that has the least amount of people again trying to get my attention at any given amount of time.
But now everybody knows about.
Well, because I can't keep up.
Leave a comment on
it's so difficult.
Films.
No, yeah, I don't check those.
You'll find that.
My Furfag Twitter is horsewang, or horsewang, spelled HORSEWENGH. Once again, HORSEWENGH, and that would be the easiest way to get a hold of me if you really want. And hopefully in the future that doesn't. I don't get so many messages on that I have to create like an 18th Twitter account or whatever. Like, it's difficult because I don't want to be one of those creators that just never interacts with my audience. But
I'd say
there's a point where you literally just it's not possible to keep up.
Sounds like you need a social media expert.
Well, I'd say making a Google Hangouts like still pretty big because like there's tons of YouTubers who don't even do that and don't
Oh,
talk
yeah.
to their audience at all.
I'm pretty active on my subreddit too in terms of like
You really
responding
are,
to
yeah.
points and or posts being made, and you know, I like
Oh,
to
yeah.
I like to be involved with my community because it's not just like I'm just pumping something out to make money. It's like I want to have a discussion about these things, and I feel like with my audience especially, I feel like there is a level of common understanding about quite a few different things, even just beyond film. But with film especially, every once in a while in my subreddit, there's like the few like contrarians of the contrarians. So my subreddit is one of those places where you know, Inside Out can win the Oscar, and then there's a thread of people being like, "Oh, that was bullshit. I liked Anomalisa better." But then there will be like our subreddit on its own can only exist in this subreddit. You couldn't post that in Reddit's Our Movies or anything because like nobody would agree with that because everybody loves Inside Out, right? But then within this subreddit of like
Conformist thinkers.
well, I mean like then within that subreddit there's like nonconformists there who then accuse the people of being within this subreddit where we're trying to have our own discussion outside of our movies. Then there are people accusing us of just being like, oh, you only think that way because Adam thinks that way. But it's like, well, I mean, chances are people who watch my videos are probably going to have
Similar
opinions, not because I said them, but maybe they're watching because they already agreed, sort of thing. So I kind of, yeah, whatever. Anyway,
well, I mean,
yeah,
I have extremely similar opinions to you, and there's people who accuse me of that. And that's, I guess it's a little tough because...
Bring back what I said earlier, it's just like people feel comfortable not understanding something. Oh, it's because you're doing this, or it's because you're this way, and you just heard it from this guy. Like no attempt to try and actually understand another perspective.
And it's a little difficult as well because, like, I wouldn't say you're inaccessible, but there's a lot of people who have tried to show you, like, especially some of my classmates, and they just look at your opinions. They're like, he doesn't like the fucking Avengers. That means he's a contrarian faggot.
I love it.
Hater.
Exactly.
If people who say that remain unsubscribed to my channel, I know I'm doing something right.
Exactly.
Talking about contrarians, there was a time when my parents and brothers always thought of me as kind of a contrarian, and I mistakenly put in Blue Velvet to watch with my older brother and my mom. And there's this scene where Dennis Hopper calls Isabella Rossellini like mommy and licks her pussy.
Nice.
Oh my God.
Flipping out, and my brother just leaves awkwardly while Dennis Hopper.
So I'm gonna end this hangout with just a little kind of, I guess, anecdote to go along with that, and then we'll wrap it up. Is I've kind of made those similar mistakes because I've always been of the perspective that like if there's something that makes you uncomfortable, then you just do it, and then you realize that there's no reason that it's making you uncomfortable. For a lot of the cases when it's just like, you know, when it should just be mind over matter. So I'm the type of person where I'm not saying for everything.
No, this is going to turn into, so put dildos in your ass, because you never know what's going to make you uncomfortable until you
No! What the fuck,
I'm
dude?
okay.
Jesus Christ.
But I was going to say, no. So what I was going to say is I'm the type of person where, like, if there was a truly great movie that had like sexually explicit scenes in it, I don't mind watching that shit with my parents. But unfortunately, my parents, especially my mom, have this sort of like mental discomfort or block or like what is the right word to use for this?
Just like a cognitive aversion.
There's a better word, but anyway, just this I don't know. I feel like the more you treat something as a big issue, then it becomes a big issue. Because if it's like so what? I watch movies with my friends that have like sex scenes or like weird shit in it, or like I'm not having sex with my friends, so what, like why would that matter if I'm watching it with my parents, you know, like, or any family member or something like that. this immediate like, ugh, I feel uncomfortable, then it's like, well, what does that say about your brain? Why are you thinking about like what you know, like what does that say about you if like if you can't watch something that is very, very clearly just like I'm not sharing a sexual experience with you by watching this movie. I'm not like we're not watching this movie to get aroused or anything. This isn't porn just because there's like sex scenes in it. So what's actually funny is Toronto Film Fest last year, my parents dropped in for part of the film fest, and so I bought some multiple tickets for some of the movies. And there were a few of those movies where I was just like, I bought multiple tickets anyway, just didn't think about it. And then coming up to it, I was like, I noticed that I had 2 tickets for Gaspar Noé's Love. And I was just like, I'm not gonna watch this with my mom because she would hate me if I showed her that movie. Like, she wouldn't want to watch it by herself even, right? Because it's basically porn anyway. And so what wound up happening was my brother lives in Montreal, and so he eventually found out. It was like, oh, hey, I'll come take a train and see you for a day. So then he showed up for the day, and it just happened to be the Gaspar Noé's movie. I was like, hey, Evan, do you want to see this movie with me instead of my mom? And he was like, okay, yeah, cool. And like he's on the same wavelength in that sense, where it's like, of course, why would you feel uncomfortable? Like, you know, like, I don't care. I can bring my brother to a movie that's basically porn, but it's not like it matters. It's not like there's any like anything happening, especially when it's like straight porn anyway. Like anyway, but yeah, that was just my little anecdote, I guess. Didn't really have anywhere that I was going with that. Full Jamilch, I will not talk about Magical Girl, but I might talk about it in the next couple weeks. Hint, hint.
Actually.
Because of the list?
Hint, hint, wink, wink.
Your audience
hint, 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 wink. Anyway, thank you, having a great hangout. That was some good conversations.
This was amazing.
Thank you so much.
Thank you for joining in.
Still watch kids movies?
Good, sir.
My name
still watch kids movies?
Bernal, I'm a famous actor from that movie. No, actually.
Gael Garcia Bernal, everybody.
Actually, it's just Gael.
Yeah.
That's my name.
Yay.
And thank you so much for your support. I will post the date, same spot. You guys always see it in the just underneath the perk section for the Patreon thing. It'll be at some point next month, although I'm not sure exactly what day, but I'll post the date in the next week or so. If anybody's wondering about the $50 perks for this month, I haven't mailed them out yet, but I'll get to it. Don't worry. And yeah, thank you so much. I enjoyed this. I'm gonna record some more shit for my 2014
Bye.
list. And thank you so much. Bye, everybody.
Bye.
Bye. Bye.